I'm Sajjad and I am Limitless. I love cycling because it gives me the platform to compete against my peers at the same level and give me the chance to explore places I wouldn't normally go to. If you haven't picked up your bike in a long time, go up and pick it up. The euphoria and the great feeling that you'll get and the freedom you'll feel is just one of a kind. Introducing Limitless, the British Cycling, Disability and Paracycling Programme. More clubs, more facilities, more opportunities for disabled riders.
Most of us have been brought up with the idea that we live in a society that's got to protect us when things go wrong. And it's a real hard landing when people realise that they're not going to get the kind of support that they had always assumed was there for them. Day was always set up to take on David and Goliath kind of battles, and we're all really keen to provide as much help as we can to those who need it.
Good morning, welcome along. Thanks for joining us. It is day 3 already of the British Cycling Track and National Championships. Thanks for joining us. Martin McDonald with you to take you through today's race action. I'll be joined throughout the session by Charlene Jones. And what a morning session we have to get going the ride. It's been an early start for the riders. Must say, been down here going through their final preparations, getting ready for the final day of race action here at the National Cycling Centre in Manchester, the medal factory, as we call it. It is great to be home over the past couple of days, and a capacity, almost capacity crowd, you would say, last night that roared on the riders fighting out for those gold medals, those British national champs jerseys that are so highly sought after. And we had an incredible day of racing yesterday. We're going to kick things off this morning. We will have the next event in our paracycling program. The tandems are back. If you love your tandem racing, we have the men's sprint para qualifying for our blind and visually impaired paracyclists. We will then have men's team pursuit qualifying. We have the women's team sprint qualification. We'll have the men's scratch race qualifying, women's points race. We have the rough and tumble of the Keirin to entertain you the first rounds of that. And then we will get into men's paracycling tandem sprinting. That's all to come. Let's go down to hear from Charlene Jones.
Welcome to the British Track Nationals. We're here in Manchester at the National Cycling Centre, the home of British cycling. We've already had 2 action-packed days of racing. We've crowned multiple champions, and now we're here on the final day of racing. We've got the Keirin racing with that little motorbike called the Derny. We've got some tandem sprinting, which is going to be so impressive to see on the track. We've got women's team sprint. We've got men's team pursuit. We've got so much to come here in the heart of cycling in Britain. So don't go too far, because we've got lots of exciting racing for you coming up. Get your seats ready. We've got about 8 minutes to go until racing. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Charlene. You can see everyone in the track centre just getting themselves through that final preparation. And it's today, we're down in the track centre having a chat with a few of the riders, a few of the coaches, and you've got to say that the sprints, the sort of strength in depth within the sprints program domestically within Great Britain at the moment really seems to be growing, and which is a really, really refreshing thing to see. You know, we see it across other sports, and it's sort of traditionally the track sprinting. We have always produced some top sprinters, the best sprinters in the world, you've got to say. And it's going to be really exciting to see the tandems back up, fighting, sprinting, battling it out. Tandemonium, we managed to get trending at the World Championships in Glasgow last year. So we'll have our 200-meter qualification, our flying 200, and then we'll get into the rough and tumble of match sprint action on the tandems, which on an indoor 250-meter track is something to behold. It is the amount of power, the amount of strength, the amount of skill that you need to be able to hold a tandem down in match sprinting on an inside 250-meter track like this is pretty incredible. We're then going to have our men's team pursuit. So we've got Team Wales going up against Ward Performance UK in men's team pursuit qualifications. So only a couple of teams on the start. If you're out there, you're a team, you're a club, you know, get ready for next year. It's one of those events sort of domestically as a club team. It can be sometimes, you know, difficult, a little bit tough to get together as a team pursuit team, but it's something that I did growing up with my team, my clubs, VC Venta down in Winchester. We really invested, we really went for it in terms of the team pursuit. I also rode team pursuit for my club Blazing Saddles as well, and that was the one thing that we always found as club teams coming up. And I remember going up in the second round pretty much against the British team pursuit team, and it was one of those experiences, and just, you know, definitely never forget it. You know, it was a really, really busy evening of racing, and we were pretty well as a club team up against, yeah, as I said, the Great Britain team. And you know, we knew that if we were going to do something, we had to try and do something special. So we came out of the blocks like we'd been fired out of a cannon, just to see what we could do going up against the British, the full sort of might of pretty much the national team at the time. So if you're out there in your club, you know, just see what you could do, get together. I know it's a big investment, sort of from your equipment, from time on the track, and that kind of thing, to be able to sort of get get working as a formation. But I can guarantee the rewards are high, and it's a great way of, you know, sort of building you know, a program as a club. So yeah, so we'll get involved next year. And I think over the last few days, it's been the essence of what a national track championship really is, you know, and you see riders that come through that are, you know, by their own admission, Danielle Watkinson in our women's scratch qualification lapping the field, and by her own admission has come into track cycling, you know, very, very, you know, is a relative newcomer to track cycling, and it was only her sort of fourth bunch races that she was competing in at national championships. And you know, the whole sort of national team, you know, sports science teams and are here, the coaches are all here. And traditionally and sort of historically, we have riders that come out of nowhere and they catch the attention of the national team and the British national team and can go on to great things. They're always looking for the next Katie Archibald. They're always looking for the next Sir Chris Hoy, the next Jason Kenny, the next Laura Kenny. So they don't, you know, get involved in track cycling. It is one of those sports that is, you know, the rewards are high, and the opportunity to come here and be in a bunch race against those riders that you'll be seeing in a world championship, in an Olympic Games perhaps, come the summer, and you can just come out of nowhere and all of a sudden catch the attention of everybody. And then you've got comeback riders, you know, seeing Peter Mitchell coming back into national championships and taking that his first British sprint title at 34 years old. That, you know, that comeback for a rider like him, and you could feel the energy, you could feel the joy from everyone that would have followed him from the coaches all the way through. So yeah, it's you know, such a great sport, track cycling, and it's something that I've done since I was sort of 12, 13 years old. So it is the best. It is out there. Right, so we're going to go to our men's sprints qualification in our paracycling. So the tandems getting themselves up to speed. So Garner and Sims up onto the track. So it's just building that pace now round the top of the track. Get that get that tandem up to speed. So 4.5 laps. They get a bit of the extra rather than the 3 that we normally have. So it's just a question, a little bit more time just to get that tandem up to speed. They see 2 laps to go this time. You can see just building that pace now round the top of the track. And we get the bell this time. So dropping in, you can see that's what we talk about in terms of trying to hold that tandem down into the back straight. So this will be the benchmark time for everyone to follow, and stops the clock, 13.568. So Jack Garner. Tim Caldwell next up with pilot Ben Elliott. So they're going to see 2 laps to go this time. So at 13.568 is the time. for them to beat. So dropping in, getting that bell. So marginally up by 0.366. And they stop the clock. 12.666 is the time for Tim Caldwell. And then Ben Elliott. So averaging there 56.845 kilometers an hour. So next up on the track, we have Mason Bradley. And his pilot, Sean Slay. To Mason Bradley, just 16 years old is Mason Bradley. And he sent me some info. So what a combo. So he made his debut last year at 15. And Sean Slay is 51. So they believe they're the youngest, oldest combo on the tandems. So a real up-and-coming young talent. So silver, took a couple of medals in Newport last year. So Born to Bike race team. So they're going to see 2 laps to go this time. Building good pace now, round the top of the track. And get that welcome sound of the bell, dropping in. Good line into that turn 1 and 2, up to our 100-meter split. They're up by over 3/4 of a second. And they stop the clock, new fastest time, 11.067. So Mason Bradley and Sean Slay, 65.058 kilometers an hour. Next up onto the track. Defending champions. Thomas Wing, Joshua Dunham. And that was the final last year between Thomas Wing, Josh Dunham and Mason Bradley, who was piloted by Loz Staples last year. Bell lap this time, just dropping in. So they've got some big competition this year, but great line into that back straight through the intermediate split, and they're just fractionally up. Have they managed to hold this to the line? 10.8, a new fastest time. So going under the 11-second mark, so 10.806. So an average speed there of 66.630 kilometers an hour. Two more teams to go. There's our order. That's where we are at the moment. So at the top there, Thomas Wing, Joshua Dunham, Mason Bradley, Sean Slade with 11.067. So 2 teams to go. So next up, James Ball, piloted by Stefan Lloyd. So the crossover, former rugby player from Wales on the as the pilot on the tandem. Could see James Ball. They said look at the position on the bike though. The aerodynamics of this tandem. Bell lap this time, dropping into the back straights. Looking quick, well on top of that gear going through there. They're up by 0.233 and they stop the clock and a new fastest time. So a 10.3, so 10.346 for James Ball and Stefan Lloyd with 1 team to go. So the top 4 riders qualify for the half finals. Next up, it's almost paracycling royalty, we would call it now, up onto the track. What's a combo that we have up next? Good replay there of James Ball, Stefan Lloyd. Our final tandem is Neil Facky, piloted by Matt Rotherham. So 10.3, so that we are running quick this morning, and for Neil Facky and Matt Rotherham, we expect a big run out for this one. They have got to be, you would say, the favourites for the Paralympics this summer. You can see in sync out of the saddle there, around the back straight. So flying 200, they held the world record 9.568 for Matt Rotherham. Neil Facky, bell lap this time, dropping in. These are all about those benchmarks. They've got the Paracycling World Championships in a month's time in Rio de Janeiro, and they are up by 0.226, and they stop the clock 9.9. So 9.928 for Neil Facky, Matt Rotherham. So that means we've got Neil Facky, Matt Rotherham at the top. So as you remember, top 4 riders qualify for the half finals. And a tandem, look at the power, look at that line from Neil Facky, Matt Rotherham. Moving swiftly along in our program, we're going to rattle through our qualifications here this morning on day 3 of the British National Track Championships. It will be men's team pursuit qualifying that we go to next. They're just getting all the start gates ready. 2 teams. There's the progression rule. We've got the teams will ride with their seeding in the final. So first up on the track, we have Team Wales. So Sam Fisher, Will Roberts, William Salter, Finlay Tarling. And then we will have Heat 2, WKG World Performance UK.com. And they will be our second team to go. Their teams will ride on the track on their own, and they will seed for the final. Charlene Jones has joined me in the commentary box. And I think by seeding, you mean, do you get the advantage of the home straight or the back straight?
Yeah. Only one team on the track now, which is, we're used to seeing it with the two teams, and you've always got another team to chase, but we've got the Welsh team here ready to go. 5 seconds on the clock.
Oh, little bobble out the start gate, unfortunately, just to get things underway. William Salter there in terms of team pursuit formation, but they're nicely into formation, the team of Wales. And team pursuit, I was just, while you were down in the track centre, I was just saying, you know, for clubs and teams that are out there, this was always one of the big events that I aimed for at national championships with the clubs that I was racing for. And we would go up again, you know, we went up against like the full might of the British national team in round 2 back in the days when I was doing it. But you know, it takes a lot of investment for club teams to really get invested in the team pursuit. Got the team of Wales here, who also, as a national federation, put a lot of work into the development of their teams.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about the development, and we've got 3 of the riders here are only 17. So we've got Finn Tarling, Will Salter, and Sam Fisher, all super, super young. I mean, looking at them, their stature, they look, you can't tell when they've got all this kit on, but they're just 17. And then we've got Will Roberts, who is leading the way from experience there. But it's so important for them to get the race opportunity. It's a shame we've only got a few teams in this British Nationals that have entered, but it's a great opportunity for the Welsh team to try out different things in their formation, potentially if they're thinking about the Commonwealth Games in a few years.
So team pursuit, 16 laps of track, 4 kilometres in length, and as you can see, once you get up to speed, it's usually a lap on the front and then swing up and drop down onto the back of your team. And team, you have to finish with 3 riders, and as we come to the finish, you'll see that the team just fan up the track, and the idea is to try and cross the line in one line if you can. And the team pursuit, it's just one of the toughest events on the track, because as well you're right on the limit, and you can just see a little gap opening on the back of the team, because not only are you riding probably above your limit, you know, it's about precision, you know, in terms of, you know, swinging up, dropping back down onto the back of the team with millimeter precision. And then when you get down to 3, you heard that big roar there from the team when they were down to 3 riders, just to sort of let them know that they're down to 3. William Salter's swung off. But it is so precise, isn't it, the team pursuit?
Yes, we've now got the 3 juniors on the track, and they're working well together. It's all about communication and just knowing how, basically when you swing off the front and the person behind you is hitting a brick wall with the aero, with the wind, it's really important to keep that going, to keep that pace going. It's difficult though, because you've just come from in someone's wheel. They've moved out the way, and then you're trying to hold on to a wheel without a computer in front of you, without anything. But these 3 working well together, really important to communicate. And I tell you what, see when you swing up the track, when you come back down, it's no time at all, because usually when you're in a bunch race, you swing up the track, you can look down, you've not got any time, you're up and straight back down. You can miss that back wheel. If you miss the back wheel, then it's difficult to get back on.
I mean, as well, it's where you swing up, and that was one of the things that we always practice as a team pursuit team. It's where you swing up in the banking in order to make sure that you can get back down onto the back of the team with, you know, as quickly, as you say, as quickly as you can. We're now into our final lap here. Our national record, by the way, is 3:45.636 in the team pursuit, but we come up to the line and we stop the clock with a 4:05.409. So a quick time by the team of Wales.
Yeah, great to see the juniors take it on to finish there. It's really good to see. Just replays you're seeing on the screen there. Little gaps appearing, but still in unison as they finished. Slightly different positions from all the riders there. Depends how you fit on a bike with your dynamics and your stature.
Yeah, because you can't all. Not everyone can get their elbows in as narrow. Not everyone can get the same hand position. And you can, as we always say, you can put yourself in a wind tunnel till the cows come home. But if you can't generate the power in that position, then it's you've got to ride a position that completely works for you.
Yeah, exactly. There's no point in going for the aerodynamics gain if you can't push down on the pedals.
Next up will be WKG, WorldPerformanceUK.com, Sebastian Gary, Michael Gill, Will Perrett, and Will Tidball. So we're going to have a reset. We'll get the gun going twice, so we'll see what the issue was, whether we had a false start, whether we have got a mechanical issue, but the riders will just roll down, roll round, and reset.
Sometimes it can play into the rider's favour. A little start practice, get the nerves out. Yeah, just settles the nerves a little bit. Back into the gate, and then second time, let's go. It can go either way, can't it? It can be like, okay, I've just had a little start practice, or it can unsettle the nerves. So it just depends how you're feeling on the day and what your personality type is, I guess.
Exactly, yes. I'm sure the riders will all be fine in this one. So they'll just come round, get themselves reset into the gate. If you are just tuning in this morning, welcome aboard. It's British Cycling Track National Championships from here in Manchester. We are on our men's team pursuit qualification. Just 2 teams riding for their seeding in the final to come a little bit later on today. We will then move back to our men's paracycling with our semi-final race 1. We'll have some women's team sprint qualifications. We'll have the qualifications for the men's scratch race. We'll have the women's points race qualification heats, some women's Keirin, which is always super exciting. So don't miss that. So that is what we've got coming up. So a couple of points races for you this morning. That is our morning session, and then we will have our finals later on in our afternoon session. You're loving the specialized helmet with the aero balaclava, aren't you, Charlene?
I'm so intrigued. And it's roasting in the velodrome, and just to know that he's got something else over his head is making me sweat.
It's the aerodynamics. That's
yeah. Well, it's the aerodynamics. We've got the points race champion from yesterday in P494 on his back there. You can see him, Will Perrett. Absolutely phenomenal. taken how many laps on the field? 3.
Impressive riding yesterday. We are under orders on our Heat 2. Away we go. We're cleanly. I was just having a little pause there to hear it. You always get everyone up to speed. So into position.
The thing about nationals is you can have so many strong riders come together and ride for the first time at nationals. So it could be, well, as you can see here, lots of different teams they're representing, but they're wanting to compete together in the team pursuit. So they perhaps haven't trained together. They might be used to riding the team pursuit, but maybe not as a unison. And that can be really difficult when thinking how many laps am I going to take on the front, and holding the pace as well. It's a fine art, the team pursuit. But we've got that beautiful aero helmet on the front at the moment.
We're going to get you one just because we know you love it
Michael
so much.
Gill.
Yeah, great
Scotland.
position on the bike. So you can see great formation that they've got. It's Tom Ward on the back in the orange. Gill now swings down onto the back of the group. And Michael Gill sent me some info about himself, which we asked for, and best results. We asked for some other information that people might find interesting. And Michael Gill was a world champion in acrobatic gymnastics.
What?
Back in 2014.
Whoa, that is phenomenal. See, the training for that must be day in, day out. Absolutely
but also
phenomenal.
It shows the
different.
It shows the
power.
It shows the crossover in power between something like gymnastics and cycling. And he's not the first. I mean, I grew up with Chris Ball was another rider who crossed over from gymnastics to cycling, and he was an amazing individual pursuiter and time trialist as well. But really interesting fact there that the acrobatic gymnastics. I wonder if still does that kind of bounding power in the gym, you know, that stand, because you do a lot. It's a lot. There's still a lot of, even as an endurance rider like he is now, but he's still a lot of that sort of explosive power that you're looking for. Team Wales, were 2:32.896, so they're just a touch under 2 seconds outside the time of Team Wales at the moment. 4:05.497 for this formation. Good to see them all coming together in this team pursuit.
Yeah, and you can, I'm not sure if you can hear on the screen, but the coaches are screaming information at them past the start-finish line. We're down to 3 riders now with 1 kilometre to go, and this is where gaps can start to open up. We see Michael Gill on the front there, just looking so smooth, so smooth, and riders on his wheel just, he's taken a big turn now, and this is what happens towards the end of the race. The stronger riders are going to perhaps do longer turns, but you have to finish with 3 riders.
And that's it. If you really put in a big turn, sometimes it can kind of all come unstuck a little bit. But Michael Gill, big turn, drops onto the back of the team, and you can see just accelerating back onto the team. But now they're going to build this one. Sebastian Gary on the front. He's going to drive it home now for that final lap. Sebastian Gary, you can see the acceleration because you see that small gap opening to Will Perrott, but they're going to swing up the track and across the line in unison. 4:02.596 for All Performance, so they go quicker. So really fast finish. That was a really impressive finish from the team. So we've got quite a final on our hands later on. So 4:05, 4:09 for Team Wales, and 4:02.596 for WKG, WorldPerformanceUK.com. Presented by Kyle Gordon. We're going to move on in our program. Today we have the men's sprints. So the tandems are back up on the track. Heat 1 will be between Neil Facky and pilot Matt Rotherham. Mason Bradley and Sean Slay will be our other heat. Now, when I was doing the qualification, we said we had paracycling royalty in Neil Facky up on the track. I've got to say, I've been joined in the commentary box by another member of the paracycling royalty, Katina Cox.
I quite like being called paracycling royalty.
There you go. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
No, it's fine.
It's a big year for all of the paracycling program of Paralympics this summer. Kind of where are you all in prep?
Obviously, we're only 4 weeks out from World Championships now, so we are, in that process of grafting. But I think as much as World Championships is a big one and it's a good one to kind of tick off, it's a stepping stone to obviously get into the game. So we're all in like a fairly good place, but not where we're going to be, come like, August, where hopefully we'll all be, the best that we've ever been. Me personally, I know I'm not in great shape right now. But if we have this conversation in like July or August, I should be absolutely flying.
And in terms of this morning, we've had an early start as well. I mean, we're just after 9 o'clock in the morning. So in terms of the riders' preparation this morning, that would have started really, really early today. Does that in itself kind of create sort of real challenges to be able to eat, to get here, to go through all the prep?
Yeah, I think, obviously like making sure you eat like that kind of 2 hours before and have everything, all sorted, all your kit sorted, and the traveling is obviously like a little bit more challenging because obviously when we're at championships where we've got someone looking after us, like we're close to the venue, so it's a little bit easier. So the boys will have had an early start, and I know Matt Rotherham and Neil Facky do not like the early morning sessions like I do. So they will have felt it a little bit, but the boys are, they're great at what they do. They'll, get up there and just, tick off the box and hopefully get through to the next round.
Are you a morning person, though?
See, I mean, I am a morning person in some ways, but in terms of training, I'm a morning person to avoid being with the boys.
Is it one of those when you're together as a team, you come down, you're just like a small nod or a small morning to
yeah, like the chatty banter that we get when we have a 2 p.m. session is very different to the 8 a.m. session.
Yeah, I can imagine. And this in itself, so Neil, Matt, we're up here. Mason Bradley, 16 and 51, the age of our two tandems wine. But this in itself, they're going to get the bell this time, and really now you can see getting some height, and they're just trying to just take a little bit of a surprise here. But this, holding these tandems down on this track is an enormous challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, the tandems, one, they're hard to get up to speed, but once they are up to speed, they can go pretty quick. So being able to hold your line is a challenge. But it's great to see, this young lad riding well and, going for it and not thinking, oh, I'm going to hold back because I'm going against the world champions. Like, he attacked it and thought he'd, go for a long one, which is great to see.
Yeah, great tactics. So the winners race for gold and silver, and our losers race for the bronze medal. But yeah, great. They just got that. They got that really nice run on them, as you said. And as for someone like Mason Bradley at 16 coming into the program, last year he took a medal at 15.
Yeah.
You've got to come into a champion. This is the essence of the nationals, isn't it? That someone of Mason's age at 16 going up against someone as experienced as Neil Facky, you've got to have that confidence that you can do it, haven't you?
And I think, it's great experience for him. That's the thing about nationals. You get the opportunity to have these experiences going against a world champion, challenging yourself and pushing yourself, and that's great for him. But I think, when you're at, that 15, 16 years old, like, you've got no fear. So as you see, he just went for it and didn't hold back, didn't think, oh, I'm going against the world champions. He clearly has confidence in his abilities, and that's just great to see.
It is. Next up, our second semi-final is James Ball and Stefan Lloyds, and they are up against Thomas Wing and his pilot Josh Dunham. So just got to get go through the motions here, get the feet strapped in. And especially important on the tandem, the big, we now see, it used to be double toe straps, now these big Velcro straps, because the amount of power going through these tandems is eye-watering, for want of a better description.
Yeah, so they have these big straps, you know, to hold the feet in. Like, I mean, I don't put out anywhere near as much power as them, but I've also got relatively big straps. And yeah, as we saw, the coach was putting the overshoes over for them, so the straps are underneath the overshoes, just making sure that, yeah, they're all secure and ready to go, so they don't pull out when, you know, they're pulling through the gears.
Have you had a go on the tandem?
I have actually had to go on the back of Helen Scott's tandem. It was, I think we were in Mallorca, so it was only on the road, and I squealed the whole time, and I didn't feel comfortable. And she was like, "Kadina, stop trying to steer."
Have they not managed to get you up on the track on one? I can imagine getting up on a track with someone like Scotty on the front, being a pilot legend in herself. They haven't managed to prepare to get you up on.
Yeah,
surely that's got to be something you've got to do before, you know.
They've never convinced me to do it on track. I think doing it on the road was enough. And Helen's, she's a bit of a wild child, ain't she? So she was swerving all over the place. And I just thought, if she does that on the road, what's she going to do on the track?
Just trying to make you comfy. That's what we want, isn't it? 2 laps to go this time. It's Thomas Wing, Josh Dunham, last year's winners. You know, here just slicing and dicing as they up and down the track, just holding that front position. James Ball, Stephen Lloyd. And we hear Stephen Lloyd coming over from rugby as well, so there's that kind of crossover between the different sports as well. They're going to come through on that final lap, and just a little glance back over the shoulder. They take that one, so they go through to ride for the gold. And Thomas Wing, Josh Dunham will ride off for the bronze. There's a lot of you crossed over yourself in sports as well, and we're kind of seeing it quite a lot in these championships, especially with the sprint events. Yeah,
no, so I think a large portion of our squad has come from a different sport. So obviously you've got Steph, who came across from rugby. On the back, you've got James Ball, who came across from athletics. Sam Ruddock and Daphne Schrager also came across from athletics. I'd like to say I came across from athletics, but I'm not quite across, am I? But I mean, Katie Marchant, she was a heptathlete. Rihanna Parry-Smith, who we saw, you know, go in the 500, she was also a sprinter in athletics. So it's those power events that people are able to transfer across from, like you mentioned, gymnastics. Yeah, it's just that power and, you know, that speed that is able to translate across.
So if anyone's out there and you're watching and you're seeing this and you think, do you know what, I want to have a go at this, you'll be able to find a pro. If you have a look on britishcycling.org.uk, and you'll be able to find your sort of local clubs, your local track, get involved. And there's talent ID days often as well, so keep an eye out for it. I mean, I'm really, started doing a bit of work with Lizzie Jordan, who's an amazing up-and-comer, and it's a shame we're not getting to see her and Danny Kahn race in these championships. But she came through a talent ID day, just came up, never been on the track before, and that's a sort of another pathway in as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so post COVID, Sophie Thornhill actually retired. So Helen didn't have a stoker, so we did a bit of a search. I say we, like I was personally involved, but they did a bit of a search for some visually impaired riders, and Lizzie came through it in that batch, and there was a few of them. Sophie Unwin also came through in that batch, and we've seen how great she's come across in the last few years. So there was a few that came through that have great talent, and, you know, never been on a bike before, but was able to jump on and have gone really well.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for all of that. We're going to move on in our program to the women's team sprint qualification. And so we have 3 teams. The fastest 2 teams will ride for the gold and silver medals. So we have 3 teams. So the team of PDS Scotland. So we have Lucy Grant, Kirsty Johnson and Christina Smith. 3 laps of the track.
That's a great start there from Lucy. See that power accelerating out.
So really good start. See, the opening lap is so important in the team sprint.
Yeah, it's key, and then hopefully P2 will come through and rush that gap.
So just perhaps on that opening, just maybe a little bit bigger gap. You can go longer than we used to think you could in the team sprint, can't you?
Yeah, so you can get a bit of a gap, and it helps if you're able to rush it and, you know, accelerate into that gap where you've got a bit of speed. But I think that gap was a little bit too big, and they weren't able to close it and utilize it as well.
Kirsty Johnston is going to finish this one up for PDS Scotland. So powering through, this is going to be our benchmark time for everyone to follow. So stops the clock with 51.743 for the team of Scotland. And our national record in the team sprints is 46.596. So that was set in Saint-Quentin, en Yvelines in France in 2022. Very good formation. We have Team Inspired, who will be the next team up onto the track.
This is the under-3 European champions going in this one. We see Rhian Edmonds, who won the sprint, came second in the sprint yesterday, and we've got Rihanna Parris-Smith, who won the 500 meters. So it's going to be a great one to watch.
Iona Moya is the third rider from Team Inspired. And Rihanna Parris-Smith, I had a chat with her down in the track centre just to caught up, and like I said, it was keen to get an idea of her pathway into where she is now, and just such a great energy about it, comes from track and field, and really just loving where she is at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think she's, you know, I was saying, oh, what's the year ahead of you? She's not putting any pressure on herself, just really enjoying where she is, because she's got a massive future. That 500 was an outstanding
I
ride.
mean, to nearly, you know, break Vicky Pendleton's national record, that says a lot. And Rihanna actually is, she's on my my cycling academy,
right?
And is like my little sister, so I know her quite well. But now she's a great talent. The last year has been amazing for her. To see how much she's come on is great.
So the riders just under orders.
10 seconds left to go now. It's that last bit of preparation.
Oh, way we go. Phenomenal start from
amazing
Rihanna.
Start. And we'll see her get on top of that gear and just accelerate down that back straight. Now, these girls have been working hard on perfecting riding together. And you'll see Iona come through now, but Rihanna's rode a cracking lap there.
Just looks back over the shoulder again, maybe just a little bit too big in the layoff between the first. But this again is the under-23 team. This is the process, isn't it? And we've got Iona Moya here. That'll get closer and closer the more competition you do. Yeah,
I think that's probably one of Brianna's best opening laps, to be fair. So I think the girls may have been a little bit surprised that she's gone so fast there and not got on top. But you'll see Rhian here just bringing it home. She's really strong in that third lap. 49.881, that's great from the girls.
So 49.881, 54.129 kilometers an hour for Team Inspired. And we're just getting a little replay now of that ride. So, you know, it's important as well that under 23 teams, this is the future, isn't it?
Yeah, no, so we've got some really good riders on the under 23 teams. You know, we've got a great women's team at the moment on podium who are all riding really well. We'll see them coming up now. But to see that we've got a great, you know, under 23 team right behind them, so we have that strength and depth, because there was a time where we didn't have that. And when riders started to, you know, retire, we didn't have anyone behind that. So there has been a lot of work that's gone into making sure that we have good, like, strength and depth within these sprint events.
There's also an element of pressure, isn't there, as a British rider, because we have over the last 20 years, 20 plus years, produced such incredible talent.
The medal making factory.
We're here in the medal factory. And our final team to go, Millicent Tanner, Georgette Rand, and I think Emma Finucane's progress as a rider over the last couple of seasons
it's been
is
incredible.
A kind of testament into where, you know, where the sort of next generation of sprinters are.
Yeah, no, we haven't seen a cyclist like Emma for such a long time, probably since kind of when we had the Becky Jameses around, when we had probably, you know, maybe back to Vicky Pendleton. Like, we haven't seen a rider like her for such a long time. And also Katie Marchant's not lining up, but she's going so well at the moment as well. So how great the girls are going is amazing, but there's pressure to even get into, you know, what you would call the A-team.
Yeah. So going to be led off here by Millicent Tanner. 49.881 is the fastest time. And look at the anticipation from this team. Away we go. Emma Finucane drops into that second position. And Georgette Rand is going to be the rider that finishes it off. So team inspired, that British Racing green and gold. So Emma Finucane now takes over. And I was there, like as many people were, you were in Glasgow last year, and, she took the roof off the place.
Yeah, no, it was unreal to see what she achieved in Glasgow, and I think she knew what she was capable of, but I think she surprised herself. And I think that home support was probably, you know, what we all needed. I was able to ride really well there, and it was great to have that home support. And Emma has just gone on and continued to, you know, progress and still continue to be riding so well. So I'm excited to see what she does this year, because we saw at the European Champions she also went really, really well there. So yeah, she's a great young talent, and you know, we're saying how great she is, but she's still really young. You know, she's still in her early 20s, which makes me feel a little bit old. But yeah, such a great talent.
49.193, so new fastest time by Inspire. So we've got Inspire, Team Inspired, and Scotland. So 49.193 for Inspire, the team of Emma Finucane, Georgette Rand, and Millicent Tanner. Second quickest, Rhiannon Edmonds, Iona Moyer, and Rihanna Paris-Smith. And Lucy Grant, Kirsty Johnson, Christina Smith of Scotland, 51.743. And again, Kadina, do teams and the formations, would you then, if the team had those slightly bigger gaps in that team sprint qualifying than you might have wanted, would you then go away and look at the start order potentially and mix things around for the finals? Is that something that you would look at?
Yeah, I think the one that normally tends to stay the same is the P1. P1s, it's such a specialist thing, so they work really hard at that. But you can move around with P2 and P3 as a possibility, with Emma's strength that she might go in P3 and put Georgette Rand in P2, just to hopefully minimise those gaps, because there was a big gap from Emma to Georgette, so there's the possibility of that. I think on Team Inspired with Iona and Rian, those spots are pretty nailed on. They consistently train that way, so I'm not sure whether they change it, but there is an option to do that if it would make the team overall faster.
But the P1, you know, if we go historically through sort of team sprint, the P1 having that absolutely lightning quick opening first lap is something you kind of aspire to as a sprinter, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is great, and I feel so lucky that I'm able to do the P1 as part of the mixed team sprint for the para team, because it is that kind of, so it's like being a 100-meter runner is what I say. It's that gold river, like. So I quite love being the P1, and everyone's expecting, you know, that flying out like the gate and then just coming through so quickly, and everyone's looking at that first split. So it is, I'd say it's the best position.
And and I gotta say, you know, the world champs last year, Glasgow, they did struggle to get onto you. You know, big respect to you on that one. You know, because it was an impressive opening lap that you put in there.
I mean, my aim is always to drop Jacko, which sounds bad because we're a team and we're meant to work together. But if I drop Jacko, then I've done my job, and he will come through strong. And when we get it right, like he's there. So yeah, no, it's great. But I think in my head, I think drop Jacko, and that makes me go quick.
Is there also, so we're going to move on to the men's scratch race qualifying. We've got 2 heats coming up. But it's also, you know, being a mixed, in your discipline, you know, being a mixed team sprint as well. Is there also that kind of, you know, give me a little stroke of the shoulder going, come on, lads.
It is great. I think it's quite nice that it is mixed. But often, because it is mixed, they don't have any females that, because you know, you look at it and they say women are going to be slower than the men, so there's not very many females that actually end up in the teams. So I quite like being on the podium. A lot of the time it is just me as the only female, which feels good, but also I'm like, I want there to be more representation of the females to feel like they can step up and hopefully make the team. There have been a few more. I think the French have a female that's riding with their team, but it is kind of like I'm here, like, guys, do your job.
So we're going to move on to the men's scratch race qualification. The qualification is held over 40 laps, 10 kilometers. Top 12 qualify for the final. We have 4 heats in terms of 2 heats. My apologies. It's early for the men's scratch. So on the blue band, we'll just run you through who you're watching. We've got Will Tidball, Ben March, Archie. I'll give you the teams as well. Will Tidball from St. Piran, Ben Marsh from Hub. We've got Archie Fletcher from 360 Cycling, Will Bjergfeldt from Aerocoach. We've got Ryan Oldfield from Hale Zoen. We have Jack Johnson from Macclesfield Wheelers, Frank Kilsby from Tap Callas. We've got Reese Edwards from Train Shop Development Team. Henry Hobbs from Wilford is in there. Will Perrett from Spirit. We've got Finn Tarling from Willowbroad. We've got David Brearley from Adform Vive Lavello, Jack Hartley from Cycling Sheffield, Chris Johnson from Islington CC. We've got Finn Graham from Parity, Josh Price from Threeva SRCT. We've got Timothy Torrey from Train Shop Elite and Thomas Adby from Mud Dock Racing. That is the first heat. As we said, the top 12 qualify for the final. If you're new to track cycling, the scratch race, bunch race on the track, probably one of the simplest in theory to explain. Bunch race, first rider across the line is the winner. It's still, Katina, one of the only track races left that if you do lap the field, you are a lap in front. So we may see that. If you take a lap, you are up, and we might see a couple of the guys, you know, going off the front and trying to do that. And we have the world champion.
Yeah, I see the world champion jersey out there. Will's been looking great all year, and obviously won that last year in Glasgow.
Yeah, has already been out on the track down in Adelaide for the Adelaide World Cup, and scratch races can always be a funny one, can't they? In terms of you either get a polite scratch race where everyone kind of does half a lap on the front and swings up, and then you'll get riders that just swing out and halfway down the bunch everybody swings up. So they've started fairly quick here. So for a heat, there's always that kind of nervousness as well, isn't there, when you're in the sort of qualifying in the morning, because you've done so much work to get here on the start line.
Yeah, so the guys will do a lot of miles and you know get in that work, so they're able to ride in the morning and hopefully do a decent ride and then go on to ride again in the evening. But it is a big race to have in a leg, so a lot of them probably be hoping for a bit of a slower race. But they have gone off pretty quick here, not hanging around.
And in terms of like warm-ups and things this morning, you know, the process of because the process of warming up for a bunch race and your sprint events is also a different kind of process.
Yeah, so I have never warmed up for a bunch race. Surprise, surprise. But yeah, it is very different because they have to be able to, you know, go for a long time, but it's that change of pace as well, and that being able to like accelerate. So they will do like, you know, some sprints in their warm-up, but it will be a longer, more drawn-out warm-up to what us sprinters would do.
34 laps to go in our first heat in the men's scratch qualifying, and this is, as we were saying a little earlier on, this is the essence of the national championships, because you have the world champion on the front in his rainbow jersey,
Yeah.
and then riders in here that are coming up through maybe their local track leagues and the club scene. And I was saying when sort of first came on air, you know, as club riders and amateur riders coming through, there's the national team and the national success are always on the lookout. So if someone comes here and pulls off and does an absolute blinder of a ride and takes a national title, it can open so many doors, can't it?
Yeah. If if you have a great ride here, and we've got a lot of the team coaches down there in the centre who will be looking after our riders, but also having one eye on the track and seeing what's going on. And if there's someone that comes through and does have a great ride, there'll be conversations had, and that in itself is a great opportunity, because there's not so many races like this where you get these opportunities, especially in track. So it's nice to be able to have that and be able to be here where there is going to be so much kind of national team staff members here with eyes on it.
And we see as well within this race, and people, anyone watching be interested, when Finn Graham and Will Björk felt that come into here as well, who are part of the paracycling program. And for them, this is a good workout as well in terms of sort of coming into these races as well.
Yeah, no, it's great for them. It's great to see them mix it up. Finn does do a lot of track league stuff, and he actually tried in Madison a couple of weeks ago. Didn't quite go to plan, however. But Finn does like mixing it up with these guys, and it is great for them to just get used to bunch racing. As I say, we don't necessarily get so many opportunity as para riders, especially to be in races like this. So for the guys, it's a great opportunity just to get used to tactically racing and being amongst guys that are going to be going quick. And for riders like Finn and for Berge, Will Bergfeld, they are more of the less impaired athletes, so they can get in amongst these races.
So good to see. And you can also as well, you can as a, we've seen Dame Sarah Story, who's won multiple national titles in able-bodied racing as well. And I was really lucky. I used to be her director sportif with her road team and watching her compete in the women's tour and those sort of races as well.
Yeah, so Sarah's actually inspired me. It's something I've wanted to do for a long while, when I do eventually focus on just cycling, try doing a lot more able-bodied races. I was hoping to actually do the 500 here in the able-bodied race. Unfortunately, I've had an injury, so I haven't been able to do that. But then I also have my academy rider, Rihanna, going very well. So she might have taken that one away from me, even if I did go well. But just being able to mix it up is quite nice, and being able to be integrated and not feel like we are excluded is quite nice.
And that we see Will in his rainbow jersey, but it was a big moment last, when Will and the rest of having paracycling and our able-bodied cycling together in our Super Worlds for the first time. It was a really big moment, wasn't it? Yeah,
no, it was great. Like, it's not something that's been done before, and it was that kind of wild World Championships where we had everything going on. But to be able to be included in that was quite nice, because they could have just had all able-bodied cycling events, but including us in that was quite nice. It did make for a very crazy Worlds, and it meant that it was quite hard, with having staff members and being like spread quite thin. But it was a great opportunity for us to be alongside our fellow teammates that we're riding with all the time. And who's this we've got going off the front?
Tim Torrey going off the front here from Train Sharp Elite, and there was that nice little moment there. Tim just took a little glance back over the shoulder. So we got our first attack of this heat. Saw that he had a small gap, and it is the world champion, Will Tidball, that started to just up on the pace on the front, just trying to persuade everyone to chase behind. So just starting to build a small advantage, and as an endurance rider, as a bunch rider, you're always looking that quarter lap, then that half lap, and when you start to potentially take a half lap, you can see that the bunch just swinging out, a little bit of pressure going out of the front of the bunch. So good to see Tim Torrey. And we saw this in our women's scratch qualification, and it does. If you can get yourself out there, even if you get the rush later on, we've got 17 laps to go. If you could potentially lap the field in the heats, you assure yourself of qualification. 4 kilometers to go here, just building that pace on the front.
It's a big effort in a heat, but hopefully that guarantees him a position in that final. So he is working hard to try allow himself to be there. The group, the bunch seem to be working hard, but swinging up. There's a little bit of pressure from the bunch, but not everyone's wanting to put in the effort.
And we're seeing Will Tidball do some efforts on the front, but they're almost having that rainbow jersey in there is kind of a double-edged sword, because everyone's looking at him. Everyone is expecting him to dictate the pace and dictate the flow of this race.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you've got that rainbow jersey, it is, you know, kind of a bullet. You know, everyone's like waiting to attack you, like you've got that vest on. So he is a bit of a target. Everyone will be expecting him to go hard. Everyone will have eyes on him, expecting him to dictate the way the race is going to be. Whether it's going to be fast, whether it's going to be slow, they're going to be looking at him to see if he's going to attack, and everyone will be looking to move with him if he does attack. So as much as we've got a rider off the front here, everyone will still have their eyes on Will and just thinking, actually, let's keep an eye on him and see what he does, and if he moves, then we'll go with him. Because we can see that the bunch is actually slowing up, and that the chase is not as good as what it was initially. He's holding a gap, about a quarter of a lap, but they haven't seemed to make an indent into that gap.
That bunch behind, because then once everyone starts to be mindful of thinking, right, if this comes down to a bunch sprint, I don't want to have been the rider that's just burnt all my matches on the front, being the rider that chases everything down.
See Will on the front now, just closing that gap a little bit. I think he's going to swing up and come back to the bunch now.
So Tim Torrey, just a little resigned shake of the head there as it goes through. It's Rhys Edwards of he's on the Train Sharp development team.
Yeah,
We've got Finn Graham swinging off the front. And you'll see as well these new bars that you have in bunch racing as well. You've got the little kick, almost like the brake levers now, and riders have sort of started to favour this position as well.
Yeah, I think in the bunch races, just because you're moving around so much, but you're also there for a long time, it is more about comfort. They don't need to be in that area position that we would see if it was kind of a time trial. But also staying on the drops for a long time can be quite uncomfortable.
And I was chatting to Tony Brooks in the centre, and he's, you know, Brooks Cycles, and he was saying it's as aero bars that they're saying. We saw that in the kilo last night, but big attack going in. So on the front, so really now up in that pace on the front. So good effort there to our Train Sharp development team rider, Rhys Edwards. So just looking around, there's a lot of, little bit of a staring match going on. Will Tidball is there, big attack though, up the inside, so big move now going in. So just a big attack by Jack Hartley of Cycling Sheffield.
Just 4 laps to go, so he's going here just to make sure he gets that qualification spot, and everyone else is going to start attacking now as well.
Great move from Jack Hartley. He launched and took an absolute flyer there. Take 3 laps to go. So, and his position, it's always as well. You can have a good burnout for that that final to come a little bit later on as well. So holding that gap.
Just 2 laps left to go now.
Will Perrott on the front from Spirit. So 1 lap to go this time. So Jack Hartley keeping the pressure on. Will Perrott on the front and just coming over the top there. Is that Ryan Oldfield in the bunch? Our Cycling Sheffield rider Jack Hartley timed that absolutely perfectly. He takes the heat. Bunch behind comes through. And you didn't get it on your screen. Archie Fletcher up there in the sprint for 360 cycling. There's our bunch come into view there. Will Peretz wearing number 94. We'll get a full update on who qualified for that one. So our top 12 qualify for the final. Getting some replays. Absolutely, Jack Hartley there absolutely timed that. That was perfection there in how he won that.
Caught everyone off guard there and just was able to drop down, and real big attack, really went for it and just opened up that gap so quickly, and it was great. He was ahead of the bunch, and no one kind of chased it, and he was away and qualified comfortably in the end.
Yeah, nicely done. It sets us up. It shows as well in the heats to the final of a national championship as well can often feel really, really different. You can get a really, really aggressive heat in the morning.
Yeah.
And when you get into those finals later on in the night, they can start to sometimes feel just the racing. You can feel the pressure of that national title.
Yeah.
And it can almost feel a little bit more negative.
Yeah,
later
it's a bit
on,
more cagey. Like, people are they're not wanting to make those big moves because they're not wanting to, lose that title. They're wanting to make sure they have the best opportunity to be there on that podium.
And bunch races as well can be there's chaos and mayhem. Let's go through your result there. So Jack Hartley, Ryan Elfield, Archie Fletcher, Will Parrott, Ben Marsh, Will Tidball, Finn Tarling, David Braley, Henry Hobbs, Joshua Price. That's our 10. Remember, we're looking for our top 12 in terms of those riders that have qualified. So Thomas Hartley and Tim Torrey have qualified, and then Will Bjergfeld, Finn Graham, Christopher Johnson, Frank Kilsby, Reese Edwards and Jack Johnson with your 6 riders there. Down to number 18, we'll move on to Heat 2. Thanks for your company. If you're just joining us this morning, this is the British Cycling Track National Championships. And we are rattling through our races this morning. Martin McDonald and Kadina Cox with you to take you through this morning's race action. So big thanks to Kadina for coming down and joining us in the commentary box. While we're setting up, the riders setting up, tell me a little bit about your academy. Yeah,
so I set up my academy in 2021 or 22. To try get more people from a black and ethnic minority background into cycling. I think there's so much potential, especially transferring from different sports, to see great talent coming through. We see it with Rihanna, and on the para side, Sam Ruddock is also one of my cyclists, and we see that he's come through, and it is a great talent. And I was a transfer athlete as well. So we see that there is the potential. So I set it up with the hope of, getting more people in cycling and just kind of allowing the opportunity and having them to have people. So we have things like, we'll have like nutrition sessions, psychology sessions. We allow them to have fun so that they can get the equipment that they need, because cycling is a very expensive sport. I remember I had to fundraise to get my first bike. And getting to a track was an issue. So all the problems that I've had to face as a cyclist, I didn't want that to be a roadblock for other people from a similar background to me to be able to get into cycling. And also just once you're in the cycling, because it is more of a white male middle class sport, sometimes you don't feel like there is a place for you, and you feel like you are out of place. There's certain things that people don't notice and that you feel kind of you struggle with. There's been a lot of things that I've faced, and I just didn't want other people to face that alone. So that's the reason why I set up the academy, in the hope to try tackle some of these things.
And where can anyone find out about it?
So we have a website. I don't know what the website is off the top of my head. So if you Google KC Academy, you'll find that. But we're also on Instagram. So we do a lot of our posting and sharing of the riders that we've got on there. We've got some great young talents coming through. A couple of 18 and 19-year-olds that are kind of at uni and finishing school, that are great talents on the road and doing crit stuff. And then, as I mentioned, we've got Sam Ruddock and we've got Rihanna and me.
Yay, well done. So we'll follow that. So KC Academy on Instagram. Yeah, that's the one that you've got to follow. Find out about that. And also, if companies out there and equipment, if they want to get involved, they can also do that.
Yeah,
there as well.
No, we are looking for new sponsors, because we did start initially with the Rafa Foundation. That's kind of how we were able to set up. But that was for the first 2 years, so we are looking for more support to be able to expand it, because post Olympic and Paralympics, I want to put on another testing day, so that we're able to find more athletes and be able to support them as best we can. I'd love to bring more athletes on, but if I don't have the resources to be able to support them, then there's not much point in that. So fingers crossed, I can get some support and be able to give the riders opportunities.
Let's run you through who we have on our screens. Noah Hobbs wearing 57 from Groupama FDJ Continental Team. Ross Burrell from Mini Distro. We got Dylan Belton Owen wearing number 10 in the red and blue from VC Londra. James Sweeney from Beeston CC wearing 117. Callum Jones wearing 65 from Hub. You then have William Gilbank from Lee Valley Youth CC. We have Denham Edwards from Shibden Apex Racing Team, Nathan Hardy from Team PB Performance, Connor Williams wearing 131 from Train Sharp Development Team, Will Roberts from St. Piran, he's wearing 102, Sam Fisher from an Exo Group Racing Team, we've got Will Davison wearing 26 from Adform Vive La Velo, we have Will Salter from Hub, we have Joshua Gilbert from Ilkston Cycling Club, Andrew Brinkling from OVB, James Ambrose Paris from Tap Callas, Callum 12s from Torres Fernando Bocello, and Keir Gaffney from the Vanelli Project Go. Top 12 riders qualify for the final. If you're joining us for the first time today, welcome aboard. This is the men's scratch race qualifying heat 2, held over 40 laps. 10 kilometers is the race distance. Top 12 riders qualify. And if you weren't with us for our explanation for the previous heat, the scratch race, one of the simplest track race bunch races on the track. To explain, we race in a big bunch, and the first rider across the line is the winner, but the top 12 will go through to the final, which will be held in this afternoon's session, where we will battle it out for our national champs jersey. So James Sweeney of Beeston CC coming through towards the front. And the essence of the National Track Championships, you'll see a lot of your club riders in there up against the likes of, it's great to see the colours of Groupama FDJ in there with Noah Hobbs, who's wearing number 57. And then Ross Burrell from Mini Discar. So you can see at the moment we've got Kadena, just a completely sort of that you can feel there's a different flow to this one in terms of that first heat. Everyone's a lot cagier in this heat. We had a very sort of gentlemanly processionary first heat where everyone pace was high, everyone was doing their turn on the front, but we got a little bit more cagey in this one.
Yeah, the pace doesn't seem to be quite as high, and yeah, it's like no one really wants to take it on. Everyone's kind of looking around. You see that the pace seems to have dropped a little bit here, actually. But no one's really wanting to do their turn. Everyone's kind of swinging up. Maybe they've just seen how that last race went, and they're just wanting to save themselves a little bit and hoping that they can do a good sprint at the end.
But as a rider, you're always kind of, when you've got to do qualifications in the morning, you're kind of, when you come into competition as well, and you're sort of thinking, okay, how are my legs going to feel later on? You're kind of almost sort of, you've always got one sort of eye on what you've got to do later on. You're thinking, oh, I might need that 5 watts, I might need that 10 watts a little bit later on in the day.
Yeah, no, it's that conservation, you know. It's all good and well, you know, riding a great ride in the heats. But it's all about that national jersey, so they'll be wanting to make sure they've got energy to be able to, you know, put out that little bit more and be able to sprint if it comes to it in the final this evening.
Noah Hobbs swings up, looks around, and you see the VC Londra colours there. Dylan Burton Owen coming through, another the club from based at the Herne Hill track, one of our outdoor tracks in Great Britain. It's a great facility.
I've never actually rode on an outdoor track.
Have you not?
No.
So it means completely different feeling, and anyone that's tuning in that might be watching that's never ridden the track, there's, you know, the big outdoor tracks, and there's still a really big track scene outdoors as well, isn't there? There's a lot of we've got our indoor tracks in Great Britain, but we've also got some really great, we've got, got Maindy down in Wales, and you've got, Hales Owen, and you've got other big outdoor tracks around the country.
Yeah, Helen Scotty, she told me about, the outdoor tracks and how great it is to be able to ride them. I think she grew up riding on an outdoor track quite a bit. But yeah, I never had the opportunity to, I keep saying I'm going to go down to Herne Hill, and I haven't quite made it yet.
Oh, you have to come and have a go. It's a historic track at Herne Hill. I grew up racing on tracks like Herne Hill. When I was growing up racing, we had Calshot, and that was the only indoor track in the country.
Right.
And we go back to the previous one, which was a really steep, white, bumpy track. And then I remember going from that, racing the Nationals outdoor at Leicester, and I remember coming here to Manchester to do my first national championships as well, and it was like, whoa, this is amazing riding in here, because when we would do the outdoor, whether it was with Scotland up in Meadowbank, it was you kind of dodging the rain a lot of the time as well.
You got to face the elements. It's a bit like being an outdoor runner. Unfortunately, being a 400-meter runner, you've got to spend a lot of time outside. So this weekend, I actually was out in the rain, which wasn't great. But yeah, I can imagine riding on an outdoor track. It's be slippy, I'm sure.
Yeah, we think you kind of get the hair dryers out sometimes.
Gosh. Yeah, frozen toes.
20 laps to go here in our men's Heat 2 of our scratch race qualifying, as Nathan Hardy takes over at the front. And you can see there just the St. Piran colours there of Will Roberts. That really growing programme out of Cornwall, that beautiful Cornish tartan that they have on the St. Piran kits. And men's and women's teams for St. Piran, they're doing a great job in terms of growing quite a different programme as well. Ricky Pascoe, and just looking at kind of a different model of funding within that St. Piran team. And you go there, the Beeston colours there, 117, another real sort of a club, British club that have been around for decades, being the understatement. And along with clubs like VC Londra, they've produced some real talent over the years. So everyone just, it's a very, very cagey race here. We've had no big attacks here.
No, so different to that first heat, isn't it? Everyone's kind of just looking around and not really putting in any big turns at all.
But also that, there's that risk as well. If you're waiting for a bunch sprint, because on a track like this, there's only so much width in a track, in a bunch this big as well. So I'm expecting someone, just like we had in our first heat with Jack Harley, to perhaps look just outside that 4 laps to go, putting in that big final K to see if they can get away here. Yeah,
it's just having that confidence in their abilities. So there'll be a few of them that are thinking, 4 or 5 laps out, I can go for a big one and try get away from the group. Yeah, it's very, very, very slow. Such a different race to the first one.
Callum 12s of Torres Fernando Barcello on the front, 13 laps to go. As, you can see everyone, you can almost feel the pressure. Josh Gilbert of Ilkston Cycling Club on the front.
Pace just seems to be lifting here. Maybe this is no, he's swung up. I was thinking Josh might have been trying to, urge them to move on a little bit and just press on.
And the flow and the process of the race literally is kind of, a lot of the time, is set from how everyone just rolls away from the start. So if you do get that fast start, that generally sort of sets things up for the rest of the race.
Yeah.
But, we're also, it's only 10 to 10 in the morning as well. We have to.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't be enjoying doing this at this time in the morning. My brain probably wouldn't be in the tactical mode to be able to think about, how you want to race and watching what other people are doing. But I do also think there's a possibility that this heat is different because they didn't have the world champion in this one. In the first one they kept it because they knew they had Will in there and that they had to kind of keep the pace up a little bit, because they didn't know what he was going to do. Whereas in this one, they've seen the first heat, they've seen how they rode it, and yeah, everyone's just kind of looking around and seeing what everyone's going to do.
So Will Roberts just swings up the track. And again, you can see those two jerseys, the FDJ and Keirin, just floating around at the moment. As a scratch rider, sometimes you don't want to go, as the race goes on, we're going to get 8 laps to go this time. So you'll see riders as well, just maybe not swing, go all the way down through the line, and you want to try and see if you can, at this stage of the race, just find a little gap, a bit further up, than going all the way to the back and leaving yourself, because we're running out of laps here. You want to keep yourself as close as you can to the front, keep yourself in a position where you can maneuver through in the sprint. We get 7 laps to go this time, so we're inside the final couple of kilometers of this one. Has anyone got a bold move later on? I'm not seeing anyone just sort of flexing the muscles and really wanting to go.
No one wants to take it on. There's just a lot of looking around. I mean, it's going to be a great burn up in those last few laps, because it's going to have to be a bit of a sprint for the guys who really want it.
There is a moment here where you could take an absolute fly around the top of the track, and that's what I always found with Manchester in a bunch race, was it's got that speed where you could just absolutely light it up around the top of the track and get to the front like this.
Yeah, we can see this. Who's that going off the front?
Nice move there.
Denham Edwards.
Denham Edwards.
And he's just gone for it.
I love it when that happens, when you say you can do this and someone does it to you.
You spoke it into existence, and he's done exactly that. He's off the front now, 4 laps to go.
Yeah, perfect timing, you would say there, from Denham Edwards.
Yeah.
Great move from Shibden Apex Racing Team. Timed that perfectly. He's hit half a lap, and that shows, you're sort of saying, the speed and the you know, when you slingshot yourself on Manchester, that's the sort of move that you can do. And he can just kind of, you know, you come around 2 laps to go, and then you think, right, I've got half a lap, just glance across the track.
Yeah,
you can start to save the power for later on. You know you're qualified.
Yeah, so he can, you know, be thinking about easing up and really conserving the energy for later on. Everyone else has now got to be in this sprint and this burn up at the end. We can see it's changed pace really quickly, but you know, yeah, he's at home and dry.
So it's crash in the bunch, unfortunately. So he's gone down. Noah Hobbs, one of the riders that's gone down. So unfortunately, we have had a crash in the bunch. Denham Edwards comes around to take that one. Ross Burrell is going to lead the bunch through from Mini Discar. So,
let's hope all the riders are okay down there.
Yeah, you never want to see that, unfortunately. And again, that's what can happen in a bunch race like this, when it's, you know, when
there's so many of them trying to sprint for that last spot. Just it's unfortunate there's just not enough room on the track for them to be able to all come through. So it is risky riding the race like that, but I guess that is part of bunch racing. There is always that risk. It's good to see 3 of the boys are up and looking like they're okay.
Yeah, and as a trackie as well, you know, you just give yourself that moment, don't you, when you do take a tumble. And you know, most of us as trackies have got, you know, the track burns that we have traditionally. But it is always a good thing just to take a little moment, just to check yourself over.
Just checking everything's still there, aren't you? Just like have that moment of pause just to make sure you're still in one piece. I think it's column 12 that's down there, just taking a little bit of time. But he's up on his feet now, so hopefully just a little bit of bumps and bruises. Skin suit still seems intact though, which is always a positive.
Yeah, always a good thing. So our riders are all up and moving. So thanks for your company today. We're going to move along in the men's sprint paracycling program with our semi-finals will be next.
Oh, this is my event. I'm sad that I'm not involved. The team sprint is such a great event, and it's so good that we've got so many teams in here for the para team sprints. That we've been able to get them together. It just shows that we've got the opportunity to have other athletes coming through. Our team has been pretty solid for the last few years. Me, Jacko, and Jode. But yeah, knowing that we've got so many people behind that, so we've when we retire, because we're all getting a little bit older now. There's all this strength and depth coming through. Just taking a moment now just to make sure the track is safe and any little bits of splinters that have kind of come out are cleaned up. I think we've got the men's sprint Parabee semi-finals coming up.
Race 2, best of 3 in the sprints. So Mason Bradley, Sean Slay up against Neil Facky, Matt Rotherham, who took ride 1 just down in the track centre. And for anyone that's never been in this position, you know, whether it's nationals, whether it's worlds, whether it's Olympics, Paralympics, you know, what's that moment like just before you kind of get on the track?
I think it's very different for everyone. I always find, especially when I'm doing the team sprint, if you look across me, Jodie and Jacko, we're all so different in the way we prepare. I'm such a chatty and bubbly person normally, but actually when it comes to just before the race, I'm like really trying to focus, especially when I'm P1 or I'm riding the 500. I've got to make sure that first bit of my ride is, you know, executed really well. So I am kind of really like getting into my head, like making sure I'm thinking about my checkpoints, but also listening to some amazing tunes. Whereas like Jodie's pretty chatty, Jacko is also quite chill. So I think it's very different for everyone. You can see down there that the boys are all having a bit of a chat and are quite comfortable just chilling down there. Whereas yeah, you'll get some people that are really serious, but it's just going through the process, and everyone has their own process just to prepare themselves for you know, the big moment, because you spend so much time training and working really hard for these moments, and you know, when you're a sprinter, it's only a couple of seconds. You get a little bit more time if you're an endurance rider. You know, in a scratch race, you're up there for a while, but you just want to make sure when you get up there, you don't make any mistakes, and you know, all that training is worthwhile.
And what you know, because it's a big question, but what are your final tunes that you listen to?
Oh, do you know what? So I listen to a lot of gospel, and there's a guy called Ty Trebet who has this song, and I remember maybe it's Worlds 2020, and one of the carers was like, "Kadina, what are you listening to?" And I was like, "Gospel," and she was like, the way your head was bopping, I did not expect that. But it's normally gospel, soca, which is like Caribbean carnival music, and Ed Sheeran. It's the most random blend of music. So I think before my 500 in Tokyo, I was listening to Ed Sheeran and Stormzy. Whereas, yeah, I think it was soca before the World Championships in Glasgow.
But soca, like I started my TV career in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay,
I was
so
so lucky that, you know, those were the first thing. That was the first thing. I always say, quite often say in TV, I owe my TV career to the cycling community of Trinidad and Tobago. So I went out there in like very early 2000s and was really lucky. And just spending like over a few years, you know, building, you know, the TV programs that we did in Trinidad and Tobago about the cycling scene there, and that I love soca, you know, and we had it as part of our program, and I met some amazing music producers and DJs, and there's just such a beautiful vibe to soca music, but it's so motivating as well.
Yeah, like I love it, and I think as well like the pace of it really helps, like just like, you know, getting into that mindset. But it is just feel good music. I'm actually so jealous that you spent time in Trinidad. It's like, yeah, like that's kind of for me, that's like the epitome of like, you know, soca and like, you know, where carnival started for like the Caribbean islands. So yeah, I think this time of the year, this is when like people start going to the different islands for different carnivals. And I think Grenada just had theirs. But I know Trinidad have got Trinidad and Tobago have got such a great kind of cycling history, and especially with the sprinters, we see so many great sprinters at the moment. So it is actually somewhere I wanted to spend some time with my academy riders, and just go out there and see what they're doing out there, and you know what opportunities they have.
Oh, we'll have to have a chat. We'll have to make that happen, because they've got an indoor track in Trinidad as well, which is making a big difference.
Yeah,
I mean, Nicholas Paul is like world record holder for flying 200, isn't he? And now we've got within the Women's World Tour, Tennille Campbell, who's just doing big things.
Yeah, no, it's great to see like them coming through, and especially from like, you know, you look at the Caribbean islands and there's not so much money in a lot of them, and as I've mentioned earlier, like track cycling is such an expensive sport. So to be able to, you know, get that funding and be able to have those athletes coming through is so great, because I came from athletics, and you know, you just need a pair of spikes and you can get out running, you know. So that opportunity is a lot easier, like you see it within like, you know, Jamaica, like, but my dad's from Barbados, mom's from Jamaica, so Barbados, you've got, you know, great talent, and a lot of the Caribbean islands, you see all these like sprinters coming through, but in cycling you don't quite get that. So seeing like what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago, and I've spoke to a couple of the cyclists from Jamaica actually, and there's a few coming through, but it's slow progress. But yeah, I'm hoping to hopefully see what's going on there, and if there's anything that can be done to accelerate that.
Okay, right. We'll have a little chat afterwards. We're going to move on back to our men's sprints in our paracycling program for our blind visually impaired riders. And we have first up on the track will be Neil Facky, pilot Matt Rotherham, with Mason Bradley and Sean Slay. So we have paracycling legend up against the future, you would say, in Mason Bradley.
Yeah.
Just 16 years old is Mason Bradley. Won a medal last year as a 15-year-old. So it's great to see him coming through. But what a moment for him as well in this being able to go up against Neil Facky and Matt Rotherham, because they really went for it in that first ride.
Yeah, they did. I think they're just having a bit of a mechanical, just sorting the chain out. But yeah, no, he definitely like went for it, and you know, didn't even like think about the fact that, you know, there's some rainbow jerseys like in front of him. He just, yeah, wasn't bothered. They just went for it, which is great to see. And you know, that's what we need. We want, you know, these kids coming through that are confident, they're wanting to challenge and wanting to, you know, fight for a spot. You know, fight to be on that podium. And as we mentioned, being at nationals, this is what it's about. You know, being able to have these opportunities, being able to mix it up. You've got, you know, all the way from grassroots all the way to the elite, which is so great to see. So yeah, I'm interested to see how they ride this one, whether they attack early again or whether they sit back and, you know, try go with them. It'll be interesting to see. And yeah, Neil Facky and Matt Rotherham looking very relaxed there. in those rainbow stripes.
And that's the thing as a sprinter sometimes as well, isn't it? And you know, being an endurance rider, when you ended up getting into a sprint program, there is that thing of sometimes if you were up against an absolute out-and-out match sprinter who you knew who could light a small village with the amount of power that they're putting out in a sprint. But it's that thing of going for a long one, isn't it? And taking an absolute flyer and seeing if you can wear them down.
Yeah, that's it. And I think you see it in the women's. If you look at kind of the likes of, you know, Keirin Hall and Laura Facki and Jenny and Sophie, they tend to, you know, go long because they have got that little bit more endurance. Whereas like, our pure sprinters, I think Lizzie was riding with Amy, I think it's Amy Cole, the Welsh rider at one point, and that was more of a sprint bike, and they just weren't able to, you know, do the long rides.
Because you would hear that kind of resigned sort of huff if you did that to a sprinter. If you go, you know, we were talking about riding on the outdoor tracks as well. And sometimes it was literally, you know, if you're going for that on a big 400-meter outdoor track, sometimes it was literally one lap as opposed to those, those 3 laps. If you just took an absolute flyer off the line,
that's it.
You know, rather than wait. If in doubt, lead it out is the motto.
Not going to lie, I think I'd be pretty angry if someone did that to me.
Mason Bradley, Sean Slade leading out here. Facki, Rotherham, just keeping that height on top. And you're seeing it out the saddle around the top. It takes a lot of communication as a tandem as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think when they've been together for so long, like Matt Rotherham and Neil Facki, they kind of know each other quite well, so they can. I know Helen used to say she'd shake the bike, and I'm not sure how Matt and Neil communicate, but you just know each other so well. But I think one of the things that people don't realise, especially with the match sprint, is we've got different classifications within these visually impaired riders. So you've got B1s and B2s, and we saw that Bradley was able to look back and kind of see what was going on, and that's kind of the less impaired riders, they can see and know what's going on. Whereas I think it's the B1s, I think Laura Fack is a B1, so she's got pretty minimal vision, so they can't see what's going on, and that means that it's totally reliant on the pilot, so they're having to kind of do everything and make sure the rider's aware, whereas if you've got a B2, they're able to see a little bit more so that they know kind of when you're going to move, so that makes a big difference. But they all ride together as one, so even though there are the different classifications, they all ride together as one. But it does impact, I think, the more impaired riders, especially in stuff like this, where they're match sprinting or, you know, when they're on the road, like they're not able to actually see what's going on. But yeah, it was good to see Mason out there, you know, riding again and really trying to go against the world champions. But that was another win there for Matt Rotherham and Neil Facki, so they will go around into the gold medal ride-off.
But also there's that opportunity there just to have that burnout as well. This is, I was saying, we're a month out from Para Worlds. You know, we're looking, you know, for Paralympics this summer, but sometimes you just need as well that opportunity to just go race pace, for want of a better phrase.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we don't have very many competitions as track riders. If you're solely a track rider, there's not very many opportunities to compete. So this is a great opportunity, especially for the para team, to be incorporated into this nationals program. It means we get the opportunity to race. We get the opportunity, you know, we saw Finn and we saw Will go in there with the able-bodied riders. So that's another opportunity to be racing at race pace. And just for the guys, we try to do race simulations, but it's just not the same as an actual race day. So having nationals, we're 4 weeks out from Worlds, so we'll have nationals, we'll have Worlds, and then that'll be it really until we go to the Paralympic Games. So this is an opportunity for you know, us to be able to have the opportunity to race, but also for team management to be able to look at how we're going and, you know, see what benchmarks we're putting down, which is good for all the different riders, because, you know, there's some of the riders on development that are looking to try squeeze into those spots for the Paralympics.
They are indeed. James Ball, Steph Lloyd in the red of Wales, up against Thomas Wing, Josh Dunham. So a little bit, I'd say, you look at this, a little bit more of an even match, potentially power to power, perhaps in this one. So Thomas Wing and Josh Dunham can, you know, think tactically how they're going to approach this one.
Yeah. So Thomas and Josh, they've been riding quite well. They're on the development program at the moment, and they've been together for a little while now. So, yeah, they're a little bit more evenly matched. Josh has been on the front of a tandem for a long while, so he knows kind of how to ride. And we can see here that, you know, it's a bit harder for the tandems, but, you know, they're looking at, you know, doing a track standoff here. But I'm just wondering if Josh is about to take it out long here and see if they can attack early, just knowing James Ball and Steph Lloyd do not like to do the long stuff.
Yeah, so up in the pace on the front. You can see just slicing and dicing it on the front, out of the saddle goes the Welsh
see
tandem.
that attack there from the Welsh tandem.
Yeah, big power over the top. 1 lap to go this time. James Ball hits the front, so they anticipated there that Thomas Wing and Josh Dunham were perhaps going to launch a move. Just didn't want to leave anything to chance there. And they go through to the final in 2 straight rides, and we will have a ride-off for the bronze between Mason Bradley with pilot Sean Slay and Thomas Wing and pilot Josh Dunham. And also as a sprinter, Kadina, you want to get through in 2 straight rides. You don't want to have to go through that process of cool-down, warm-up and another race.
Yeah, that extra ride, that 3rd ride can be make or break for a lot of us sprinters. I don't like to say that we're unfit, but doing a lot of sprinting, it's hard, you know. We're using that the energy system that doesn't like to replenish very quickly, and it's a lot to, you know, put out those sprints and do it multiple times. So yeah, we quite like to go through it in 2 straight sets rather than having to do that extra one before you have to then go through to the final. So it's just trying to conserve the energy, save the legs a little bit. Because yeah, when you're doing all-out sprints, it's pretty hard. Not saying that sprinting's harder than endurance riding or anything, but sprinting's harder than endurance riding.
But you know, sprinters and endurance riders, you're kind of very, very different animals, aren't you? In terms of like everything, your physiology and everything, and it is like. The body has different pressures, doesn't it, in a very explosive, you know, as opposed to 20, 30, 40K of endurance riding. Yeah,
it's very, very different. And, you know, it means, you know, we fuel differently, like our day-to-day is like very different. Just because, yeah, like having that raw, like out-and-out power and having, you know, being able to go for miles. I spoke to Archie, he was doing some sprinting the other day, and he said, this sprinting stuff's hard. And I was just like, yes. But when you come from an endurance background, you don't, I think because, you know, endurance riders are, you know, they're going out for the long rides, they're on the track for long periods of time, they think, you know, it's working harder, but it's probably, I spoke to William Bergfeld as well, when he's doing a pursuit, he's saying we're always sub-max, whereas as a sprinter, we're trying to get out that maximum effort, like, constantly. But the ability to be able to ride at that sub-max period for a long period of time is probably just as hard as, you know, riding all out, but it's just very different energy systems, and it just affects you differently.
We're going to move on in our program to women's points race qualifying. We're going to have heat 1 of our women's points race qualifying. We will then go to the women's Keirin. First round, we'll then have the mixed team sprint qualifying in our paracycling program for our C1 to 5 categories. We won't have a race 3 in our tandem sprints because we've gone through in 2 straight rides. We will then go to heat 2 of the women's points race, and our final race of this morning's session will be the women's Keirin first round repechage. And if you're new to track cycling, women's Keirin first round, the repechage is basically a second chance saloon to come back into the competition. But again, as a sprinter, you want to go through in as few rides as possible. But if one of our big favourites does have a bit of a disaster in the heats, it happens, it does give them an opportunity to come back into the competition. Let's run you through who you're going to see in Heat 1. On the blue band, you have Maddie Leach in the green and grey colours there of Life Plus Wahoo. Karis Lloyd wearing 46 from Tofoti Everyone Active. Number 7 from Brother UK Orientation Marketing is Lily Brindle. From Velo Bavarian Racing Team, Neve Campbell-Williams. Also on the start wearing 29 from Shibden Apex is Lucy Glover. From Tafuti Everyone Active, Murray Porton. Elodie Shaw from Alba Development. Danielle Watson of Jaden Vive Le Velo. Grace Lister from the Hess Cycling Team. Erin Boothman from Tafuti Everyone Active. Katie Ann Calton from St. Piran Women's Racing Team. Kat Ferguson from Hope Factory Racing. You've got Frankie Hall from Das Hansling, Izzy Sharp from Lidl Trek, Millie Thompson from Cycling, Esther Wong of Shibden Apex. That is who we are watching out for. We have our sprints 5, 3, 2 and 1 point offer, double points on our final sprint, and if anyone gains a lap they get 20 points. So if you do lap the field, you are only given that additional points tally. You're not a lap ahead. So myself and Kadina will do our best to keep track of where everybody is and the points scored in this one. And yes, points race is always an interesting one.
Just trying to keep up, that always throws me because I never know who's where.
So just building into this one. And again, tactically in a points race, you're kind of almost always thinking, sometimes you come in and you think, do you know what, I'm not going to go for the first sprint, then I'm going to try and build into this one. And Danielle Watkinson that now comes through to the front in the pink and blue of Jaden Vive Le Velo. A really interesting race. She crossed over from rugby and she lapped the field in the scratch race qualifying. But she's come to these national championships, and the scratch race was her third bunch race ever.
Oh, wow.
So, this, again, we've been talking a lot about sporting crossover, and she had an injury in rugby that meant that she started to use the bike for training. And again, the power from rugby, but also that kind of endurance that you get as sort of rugby players and football players. We see it with Fem Van Empel in cyclocross on the road as well. So really interesting rider to sort of see out here.
Yeah, no, it's great to see her come across. I similar to her actually. When I was unwell, I just was on a bike, as part of that, training, like getting back into things. And again, like her, you just someone's like, oh, your power's decent. So it's great that she's had this opportunity to come across the cycling, and clearly is a talent that could be one for the future. So we'll see how she goes in this race. See how that power transitions across, and if she's able to, keep pushing in these sprints.
Izzy Sharp from Lidl Trek in there, in that yellow, red and blue colours, the 18-year-old rider, medalist in last year's World Junior Time Trial Championships, has been picked up by that Lidl Trek programme. Millie Thompson from Solas Cycling. Kat Ferguson, another rider, another interesting young rider, exciting young rider coming through, who is in the green and black colours of Hope Factory Racing. Kat Ferguson, if you're not up to speed with, she's wearing 26. She's following Izzy Sharp here. And Kat Ferguson moving over to Movistar this year. When she turns 18, we've got that sprint, and it is Izzy Sharp that's leading out the sprint here. So remember, 5, 3, 2 and 1 points in the sprint. Grace Lister locked right on the wheel. Kat Ferguson up there, but Izzy Sharp taking the first sprint there. So we'll do our best to keep track of the numbers, because anyone that knows me knows Marty's not good at maths. So as a points race rider, I was always all over the place, because you've got to be a bit of a mathematician, haven't you? Trying to work out who's where and what your points are.
Yeah, and you don't know what everyone else has got in the race. That's too much to think about for me. I just want to ride my bike. But you say that Izzy Sharp got the 5 points, Grace Lister with a 3, Kat Ferguson with a 2, and Caris Lloyd got the 1 point.
So there you have it. That's our first points tally. We'll keep you up to date with how that goes. Katie Ann Calton in from that St. Piran women's team. So we've got 3 riders now going clear. One of them, Maddie Leach, Caris Lloyd, now just edging off the front. So we're starting to get a bit of a breakaway group here. 5 riders going clear. So you've got just clipping off the front, so Tofuti, everyone active. So there's your results of sprint 1. So Izzy Sharp takes 5, Grace Lister takes 3, Kat Ferguson takes the 2, and Karis Lloyd takes the 1 point. Frankie Hall from Das Hansling swings off the front. And it's Grace Lister that is just going to bring this back together. But we have got a bit of a split now in the race. We've got a few groups that have just been distanced off the back. Izzy Sharp and Kat Ferguson just coming across the gap. So Grace Lister in there for that new Hess Pro team. Big targets, big objectives for Hess, British registered team this season. Frankie Hall.
Frankie Hall's taking a big attack here, trying to get off the front.
Frankie Hall, we saw just put in the last year of the Tour Series that we have, very good criterium rider as well, is Frankie Hall. Just starting to build now, about a quarter of a lap lead now for Frankie Hall. So 22 laps to go, so they'll come round next time and get the bell for the next sprint. So Izzy Sharp, Kat Ferguson, Karis Lloyd and Grace Lister in the chasing group behind, but a good move here from Frankie Hall. She'll get the bell this time. So looking to try and put some points scored. She's looking across the track, 20 laps to go. So it's a 40-lap qualification in the points race.
Maddie Leach is going high there, trying to get those next points, those 3 points.
Yeah, good speed from Maddie Leach behind, but it is Frankie Hall that's going to come round and take the 5 points. So Maddie Leach taking the second points there. Elodie Shaw up there. So we'll get an update on our points momentarily. Katie Ann Calton has lost 20 points. If you lose a lap, you also lose 20 points. So if you do get dropped and get lapped, we'll give you a confirmation of our sprint results. So Frankie Hall from Maddie Leach, Elodie Shaw and Karis Lloyd. So some more points scored. Frankie Hall, though, persisting with this. This is a good move now, sensible move, you would say, here from Frankie Hall. She's almost up to that half lap over the main part of the bunch here.
Yeah, she's continuing this attack, and no one seems to want to try pull it back, so hopefully she'll gain this lap. She's about half a lap up now, so hopefully she'll gain this lap, but she will continue. If she stays out there, she'll continue to collect the top points.
And that is it. When you're out here, you're out of that sort of rough and tumble of the bunch as well. And when you start to tick off that half lap, there's confirmation of your points on your screen, though. Frankie Hall from Maddie Leach, Elodie Shaw and Karis Lloyd. That means now on the top of the leaderboard, we've got Frankie Hall and Izzy Sharp level with 5 points, Maddie Leach and Grace Lister with 3, Kat Ferguson, Karis Lloyd and Elodie Shaw have 2 points apiece. So the crowd starting to grow in numbers here in the Manchester Velodrome. 15 laps to go, and Frankie Hall has got the bunch now in her sights just ahead of her. So if she laps the field, she gets 20 points. So she's into the same straight now, Frankie Hall.
This is a great ride from Frankie Hall. Just will help hopefully get her through with an easy qualification, so she's not having to worry now. She's nearly on the back of that group.
A nice move here by Frankie Hall as she is about to make contact with the bunch.
There we go.
20 points. Nice move there by Frankie Hall. And this is the moment as well, Kadina, when you lap the field and you'll see Frankie Hall now just start to ride up into the bunch rather than you can see. Just moving up here, you kind of just shimmy your way through to the front. And she's done the right thing. You kind of sit on the front now, get up towards the front and start to dictate. Just shows the experience of someone like Frankie Hall.
Yeah. It's great riding from her. And yeah, you can see she is very confident in riding these points race and just knowing what she needs to do to be able to qualify.
So we'll update that now that Frankie Hall has taken 20 points. So 25 points to her. Izzy Sharp, Maddie Leach are in our top 3. We're into sprint lap, and it's Danielle Watkinson of Jaden Vive Lavello that is now on the front, attacking Grace Lister coming through. Maddie Leach is also just trying to come over the top. And Maddie Leach takes the sprint. So Maddie Leach takes the sprint on the front. So 4 riders don't qualify for the finals. So at the top of the standings, so there you have it. Maddie Leach taking 5, Karis Lloyd taking 3, Grace Lister takes 2, Marie Porton takes 1 point. This is Maddie Leach, who's now off the front with Danielle Watkinson. They are at the front. So Danielle Watkinson going to try and put some points on the board here. This is a good move off the front from these 2 riders. Double points on the final sprint, so 10, 6, 4 and 2 points. If you are just joining us, welcome. It's the women's points race qualifying heat 1, 40 laps of the track, 10 kilometers in total. So Danielle Watkinson with Maddie Leach off the front. Grace Lister is the rider on the front of the bunch behind, but Leach and Watkinson, they got 4 laps to go this time. So our order: Frankie Hall from Maddie Leach, Grace Lister, Karis Lloyd, Izzy Sharp, Kat Ferguson and Izzy Shaw. So our 2 leaders just knocking out that tempo, keep the pressure on. The pressure has gone out of the bunch, which plays into the hands of our 2 leaders. And Danielle Watkinson looking to try and take some good points here. Maddie Leach is sat in second with 8 points. So some good points scored. They've got half a lap advantage now with 2 laps to go. So you can see as well, look how cool, how calm Maddie Leach is as she just folds those hands over the top of the bars into that aero tuck position. Short turns on the front as well for Leach. 1 lap to go into our final sprint. So our 2 leaders, they're looking for those max 10 points here. So big move behind. So leading out Lucy Glover on the front, Kat Ferguson at the bottom of the track. Coming round though, Danielle Watkinson takes the 10 points and 6 points to Maddie Leach. And it looked like Erin Boothman of Tofoti Everyone Active taking the 3rd place, and Kat Ferguson also getting up there and scoring points. So we will give you a rundown momentarily, but Frankie Hall with that lap gain takes the first heat with 25 points. So we'll get an update momentarily. We're just getting some replays of that that race. You can see Maddie Leach here. She got off the front. She was sat second. Knew that she had qualified. Didn't have to do too much. Just saving those legs. You can see there. Knows that she could just put another 6 points on the board. Just let Danielle Watkinson ride clear there to take the 10 points. They're just updating them momentarily. But an interesting points race. That was a good heat. Some good rides there, and it was good to see. We'll just give you an update on our points. We'll get them on our screen momentarily. But Danielle Watkinson, Maddie Leach, Erin Boothman and Kat Ferguson were our points scorers. And Kadina, we were talking about Danielle Watkinson early on in the race, and it's interesting watching a rider just finding their confidence as well as these races go on.
Yeah, you could see she was sat at the back a little bit and just kind of like being a bit observant. But then, yeah, like when she does attack, you can see that she's got real talent and that you can see that power and that strength that she's got to come through and be able to attack in these races. So, yeah, it's great to see that she's, you know, getting really stuck into these races. I think if it was me, I'd be a bit on edge, you know, being in a bunch race. But she seems to be really enjoying it and really finding her feet, which is great to see.
Yeah, and as we will say, the riders coming in who are relatively new to track cycling, that's the essence of a national championship like this. There is confirmation of your results. So Frankie Hall at the top with 25 points. Maddie Leach takes the second place. We'll go down through our qualifiers. So Katie Ann Carlton, Neve Campbell-Williams, Lily Brindle and Millie Thompson are 4 riders. So the last 4 riders not qualifying for the final. So that sets us up. We will have one more heat to come. We are going to move on in our program to the women's Keirin round 1. So change of discipline. The Derny is out on the track, and you'll be able to momentarily hear the roar of the Derny as it gets going. We have 3 heats in total, 6-lap distance. The progression in the competition, the first 2 riders in each heat qualified to the semi-finals. All other riders advance to the repechage. So if you're new to track cycling, the repechage is your second chance to come back in to the competition. So our women's Keirin repechages will be the final races that we will see in this morning's program. But some really interesting riders that we have in action here. So heat 1, we will have Lauren Bell, Stephanie Hall, Maddie Silcock, Christina Smith and Anna Whitworth. Hey, that is our first heat.
Yeah, and we've got Lauren Bell in there, who we saw win the sprint yesterday. So we know people are going to have their eyes on her, see how she rides this one. My mum's favourite bit about track cycling is the Derny. She's never so interested in what I'm doing.
Really? We love that.
Yeah, might get her involved in the Derny racing one day.
Could we persuade your mum to become, to become a Derny driver?
I'm sure she'd love it. She, yeah, that's probably the best we're going to get cycling-wise out of her. She's not been on a bike in a very long while.
So our Derny gets going, and the riders draw for position. And the Derny will just build up to speed, pulls off with 3 laps to go. So Lauren Bell from Team Inspired, second from the back of the line. In the red, Anna Whitworth from SES Racing. In the white, purple and black colours of the Glasgow Track Racing Club. You've got Madeline Silcock, who's a British Cycling private member. And then Stephanie Hall, wearing 34, also another private member. So now you can see 4 laps to go this time. And now is where you everyone just starts looking around at each other for position and watching those shadows. The gaps just started to open a little bit.
Yeah. Girls are not quite staying on the Derny. I'd like to see them. I think a few of them might be laying off to see if they can rush any gaps. But here we go. See what happens now. Everyone's still looking around.
So Madeline Silcock on the front, and again, when you've got the presence of someone like Lauren Bell in here, national sprint champion from yesterday, everyone's waiting for her to make the move. They're waiting for her to dictate what's going on here.
Yeah, we've got 2 laps to go here, and Lauren is sat on the back Can see them all now jostling for position going into this last lap.
Stephanie Hall in the black, with the black helmet, with the white helmet. Madeline Silcott, Lauren Bell, just getting that move up now on the wheel of Stephanie Hall. The red colours, Anna Whitworth-Hay, but it is Stephanie Hall now that comes through to the front. Lauren Bell just doing everything that she could there to just try and save energy, you could see there.
Yeah, I could see she wanted to put minimum effort in there. It's great to see the girls not worrying about her being there. That Stephanie Hall really went for it there. It was a great ride from her to take that one. That'll give her confidence going into the next round.
And again, as sprinters, as we say, you're trying to go through. You don't want to have to go into the repechage if you can.
It's making us sound a bit lazy. But yeah, no, we want to obviously...
Sensible.
Yeah, that's it. It's sensible, conserving energy. You want to make sure like you're as fresh as possible going into that final, because you don't want to do all the work now and then not have the legs for it in the final and trying to get that national jersey.
While our next heat gets up, there's our standings. So Stephanie Hall takes it from Lauren Bell. And we'll have heat 2, 3 heats in total.
We've got a couple of girls in this one that have done the team sprint this morning. Rhian Edmonds is in there with Georgette Rand. So yeah, we'll see how their legs are, having done the team sprint this morning already. So it's quite a packed schedule for these girls.
And you kind of feel that as the as well, sort of layering difference. You've got to go away, you've got to cool down, you've got to do, you're sort of thinking sort of recovery shakes, that kind of thing. Let's take you through who we're going to watch out for. So you've got the red colours at the top of the track, Kirsty Johnson, and you've got Sylvia Mistel in those Glasgow Track Racing Club colours. The number 8 from the University of Nottingham is Elizabeth Broughton. From Team Inspired, Rhian Edmonds. And from Vela Club Lincoln, who's at the bottom of the track, is Georgette Rand. Dernier comes through. So riders draw for position, and they have to now stay in those positions on the back of the Dernier until it pulls off. It used to be in Keirin racing, it used to be an almighty fight back in the day.
I can imagine that, and I can imagine it also becomes pretty dangerous at that point. Everyone jostling for position, so makes sense that the rules have now changed to, you kind of have to stay in your position until bye-bye Dernier, and then it's, whatever happens, happens.
And also, it's the Keirin has seemed to have changed. Just that extra half a lap from where the Dernier used to swing off has made a bit of a difference to the more sort of endurance type sprinters.
Yeah, because there's less time to kind of go for that sprint. So it is the pure sprinters that are now able to shine because they're not having to think about going long. I think it was 2021 when Jason Kenny went long, very, very long and took that win.
So moving up now is Sylvia Mistel towards the front for the Glasgow Track Racing Club. It's Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome that they've got up there in Scotland, making such a difference. Kirsty Johnson from the Edinburgh Road Club in the reds.
Yeah, we can see.
Georgette Rand on the inside.
See Rhian Edmonds coming over the top now.
So it looks like as well, Georgette Rand just pinned a little bit at the bottom. You can see the Vela Club Lincoln rider just trying to find a way out. The first 2 riders will qualify to go through. So it's Rhian Edmonds.
Did Sylvia just miss out there? Georgette was coming through quickly.
Have a look at that, but Georgette, you could see she was just trying to find that position to come through, wasn't she?
She found herself quite stuck on the bottom of the track there, and had to navigate her way out and come round the top. which can be a lot harder actually because you're changing speed rather than just being able to carry your speed through. But she was coming through with some good speed at the end there.
Yeah, we'll have a little replay, and you saw Georgette Rand. You can see how she's just pinned here at the bottom of the track. So she did a great job to find her way through.
Yeah.
Because she's almost having to kick back here in that point.
Yeah, so she's had to kind of, come off the accelerator and then go again.
But it also showed that out of turn 4, that was a really, and she has, look at that, so straight through. Rianne Edmonds takes it from Georgette Rand, Sylvia Mistel there in third. But that little pump of power there was really impressive.
Yeah, we can see, I think she was, she rode in P3 this morning, so she's obviously got that strength, endurance, to be able to carry that speed through. So, yeah, she was able to just get out of the way and get off the bottom of the track and then just find that little bit of an extra gear is what I like to say.
And also, when from that point in the competition, you look to those rides later on, you're thinking in your head, aren't you? Right, don't get boxed in, don't get stuck at the bottom of the track, because sometimes it's sort of even having that front position on the Derny's not always the advantage that you kind of think it is, because you can get swamped in a way like that happens.
Well, everyone's coming over the top of you and trying to get past you, and then you can kind of get a little bit stuck there. So yeah, you've just got to be careful and smart about the way you ride these.
Yeah, next up, so our next heat. So we've got Yolanda Adesida wearing number 1. You've got Anna Birrell, who's a British Cycling private member. Emily Burgess wearing number 9 from SES Racing. Amy Cole from the Wales Racing Academy. Rebecca Howard from Glasgow Track Racing Club. And Iona Moya from Team Inspired. So another group of really sort of up-and-comers, sprinters that we got in here. Yeah,
no, there's a great bunch in here. Obviously, you've got, I'm aware of Yolanda because actually she trialled for my academy, so I know she's a great talent. You've got Iona, who's again on that under-23 team and part of the British Cycling Academy. Amy Cole has done some stuff as part of a tandem pilot, actually, with the British Para team. I know Rebecca Howard does quite a bit of stuff, or previously has done quite a bit of stuff for a university team. So there's a variance of riders here, but yeah, a lot of great talent in this. So we'll see how it's rode.
So Yolanda Adesida gets that front position. On the back is Anna Birrell from the Glasgow Track Racing Club. Number 37, Rebecca Howard from the Glasgow Track Racing Club. And Amy Cole, the Wales Academy, is part of the mixed team sprint team last year on the tandem with Lizzie Jordan that took the gold medal in Glasgow Worlds with Neil Facky and Matt Rotherham. So building that pace now, the Derny accelerating. So Yolanda Adesida on the front. Iona Moya, second wheel. 3 laps to go this time. Everyone just looking around, seeing who's going to make the move here.
See the gaps start opening up. The girls are really just looking around. No one's wanting to take it on. So 2 laps to go.
2 to go. Yolanda Adesida on the front. Iona Moya, second wheel in that green, white and gold colours of Team Inspired. Rebecca Howard, here comes Amy Cole now over the top. Adesida's got to be careful that she doesn't get pinned on the inside, but Moya and Cole are there just moving up on the outside. Rebecca Howard now moves up into that position. Moya on the inside. Amy Cole got a good position there. Emily Burgess of SES Racing, though, coming through in the red. It's going to be a battle between those two. But it looked like Iona Moya there on the inside just managed to go through automatically with Amy Cole.
Yeah, good ride from those two. It's quite an evenly matched one, that one. The girls all working hard through to the end.
Yeah, nice heat there. So just going through those. And that moment as well that we see there between the rider and coach on the start, you get that last little pep talk as well.
It's a great moment. I love that moment before I go, and just that little, like, sometimes it's just one word that you get from your coach, or just a pat on the back. For me, with my previous coach, Tom Hodgkinson, it was a fist pump we did before he left. So just that little moment, it just gives you that little bit of like, come on, you've got this before you go. Or just even a calming word. Sometimes when you're so nervous, it's quite nice to have someone that can just calm you down. so you don't kind of, get a little bit too eager and twitchy.
Yeah, because even sometimes, and as well, it's the relationship between coach and manager and coach and rider.
Yeah.
There's no one size fits all in sports sort of psychology, is there? It's
No.
and that's the important thing as coaches and is learning what makes your rider tick. Because what motivates one rider can completely shatter another rider in terms of how they're feeling.
You get some riders, I'm one of those riders, I'm like, I just need, when I was John Norfolk, who's now kind of one of the, I don't know what he does, but he's high up in British cycling now. He was the para head coach when I first came, and he was my coach. But I remember when I first started, he'd start saying loads of stuff to me when I'm on the start line. And I was like, no, dude, like, we need to, like, rein it in. So we went to 3 words, and that was all he was allowed to say to me. But 3 words works for me, whereas some people need a little bit more, and some people just need a big slap on the back,
But also, it's an important thing, isn't it? It's a confidence as a rider to be in, as an athlete, to be able to say, nope. Right, there's confirmation of Heat 3. Amy Cole, Ian Moya straight through. Emily Burgess, Rebecca Howard, Annabelle Nwanda, Ada Cedar are the riders that will go into the repechage. They will have another opportunity to come back into the competition. So we're going to move back in our program to our paracycling, and this is an event that Kadina Cox alongside me knows very well. This is our mixed team sprint qualifying for our C1 to C5 category. So this is an event you know well.
Yeah, it is. It's probably my favourite event to do. I quite like a team event. And it is a fun one. I think just the fact that it's mixed, everyone's, got different impairments. We've got males and females on these teams. It's just a great event. And yeah, it's a real like sprint. I probably like it because there's only 1 lap for me. But yeah, we'll see, the P1 go out really hard. And then the guys behind will, just try to bring it home as strong as possible. I'm loving the team names that we've got. We've got a bit of a theme going on. We've got the Incredibles, X-Men, the Justice League, Guardian of the Galaxy, and the Avengers.
I'm loving that. Being a massive cartoon and comic book fan,
yeah.
I'm loving that. So the Incredibles, I hope it's just a salad for them for lunch. That's the Mr. Incredible line, isn't it?
Yeah.
So leading out, Ben Wood, Wayne Harrod and Christopher Scott. So just getting their ride underway here. So Ben Wood leading off, and it's all about getting into position. And within this program as well, some teams could potentially have put themselves together and not have ridden before. So you're also building that into this program.
Yeah. So a lot of, especially within the para team, a lot of us won't have rode together. So it's just kind of teams that are put together and kind of, I'd say, winging it, because it's just not being able to know how far off you need to lay off the rider, like when you should go hard, like how they're going to kind of ride the first half and the second half. You've got to take into account the different impairments. So some of the riders can't get out the saddle. Some of the riders, once they're going, they're quicker. So Jacko can't get out the saddle on the start line. So I always am able to accelerate away from him. But once Jacko gets going, he's absolutely flying. So then I'm always scared he's going to come onto the back of me. But we see there the Incredibles have set the benchmark with a 58.4. 58.393, I think, is the official time.
Okay, Christopher Scott, Mr. Incredible at the end, finishing that one off. So Ben Wood, Wayne Harrod and Christopher Scott, the Incredibles, set the time there, 58.393. So that is our first time, that is our benchmark time. So our fastest 4 teams qualify for the final. So we have 5 teams, only 1 team won't qualify for the finals. If you're just joining us today, welcome along. It's British Cycling Track National Championships. Hope you're enjoying our live stream coverage. Martin McDonald and Kadina Cox with you to take you through your race action. Next up on the track are the X-Men. And so good to see them onto the track. And they will be represented by Finley Webb, Charlie Stanton-Stock, and Ben Hetherington. So 3 laps of the track. So if you're new to track cycling, the team sprint, first rider leads off, does a lap, swings off. The next rider does the 2 laps, and our final rider is the rider who does the 3 laps and finishes everything off. Keirin Cox alongside me. She is always the rider who does lap 1.
I'm doing the bare minimum, essentially.
No, you're the big power. You're the big power to get everyone off the start line as well.
Yeah, I'm making sure they start well. I feel like it's a key position to be in. But no, it is a very fun event to do, and that first lap is so important. It just sets you up.
And it's that moment as well when we hear the beeps. Take us through that final when we see the countdown and you hearing the beeps and that anticipation. There's a lot of practice that goes into getting out of the gate with precision.
Yeah, we train a lot, and luckily we have the gate set up so we can do this, week in, week out. But with the beeps, you've got the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown, so you can not anticipate it, but you can rehearse it. It's not like, say another sport like athletics, for instance, where the gun just goes off randomly. If you can count, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you should be able to go. So we can really practice and hone in on that, because you want the first movement when the gate releases is the bike to move, not for your body to be moving. So you essentially want to start moving fractionally before it goes. But you'll see everyone has a different way of, going up and getting prepared, going back. But they're off. We've got Ben Hetherington, who's doing that P1 position, so who's trying to get them underway with that acceleration.
Nice formation, really tight away from the line.
Yeah, riding really well. I'm not sure if these guys have rode together before, but yeah, it's a really good ride from them.
So Ben Hetherington hands over to Charlie Stanton's stock, who accelerates, and you can see that Finlay Webb just clinging on to his teammate here. That's just accelerating them up to speed on lap 2. 58.393 is the time that they are chasing. 1 lap to go. Finlay Webb is going to finish this one off. This looks like a really solid ride from this team going through, and they're over half a second up on the Incredibles, are the team of the X-Men, up to their starting position, and they stop the clock with 58.362. Yeah. Nice done. They were really, really, really solid formation.
Yeah, I don't think they've rode together before, so that was a nice formation from them, riding really well together, really trusting that, the next person was going to come through on their wheel nicely. So, yeah, great ride from them. I'm sure there's more to come as well, like little improvements in the next round, hopefully, if they get through.
2 teams down, the Incredibles and the X-Men. And next up on the track, we will have the Justice League.
Love that.
We're also seeing our kind of, we're seeing, you can get a lot of a glimpse into the psychology of a rider if you're a Disney, kind of Disney with the Incredibles. If you're a Marvel fan, if you're a DC Comics fan, we're getting there's a lot you can read into that. I think.
No, definitely. Where would I slot in? I think I'd have to be on the Avengers.
Do you think would you be Avenger?
Yeah, the Avengers or X-Men, I think.
What would your superpower be, though? What would you think your superpower? What would you want your superpower?
I'd love my superpower to just be invisibility. Everyone thinks that I'm really chatty, but I'm a real introvert at heart, so I just like to be like away in my little corner.
You'd need to be in the X-Men then. You
know.
know.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I'll be in the X-Men. It's good to see.
Or maybe in the Incredibles, because you could go invisible as well, couldn't you? So.
Yeah, I don't feel like the Incredibles sits well with me. I think it's a bit too childish.
Our next team, the Justice League, are on the track. Samuel Davis, Callum Du Bois, and Jacob Smith are the team. Just going through that last ritual. That's a big part of sprinting as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Just like everyone has a routine. I think you see it from different riders. You look at the likes of Ali Smith, and he has his chain out, and then zips his top up. So it's all very different. Again, we see here Callum Du Bois is off in that P1 position. He's a C2, so he's only got one leg that he can really use. So having that strength to be able to get it moving is quite hard. But once he's got it moving, he's riding quite well there, so the boys will come through on him now.
And also there, as you were talking about, the rush that Jacob Smith got there as well, because sometimes if you're a little bit too close, that can not be the right move as well.
Yeah. So you want it's kind of getting that little bit of I don't know what the word is, but you get that like pull from being like behind them. So you rush that gap, and it allows you to kind of accelerate and helps with the speed that you're gaining from the rider in front of you. So this looks to be a good ride. I think they're slightly up at that last checkpoint.
Yeah, new fastest time, 56.544 for the Justice League, 47.750 kilometers an hour, the average speed. Nice ride.
Yeah, no, it's a really good ride from them. Who have we got up next?
We've got the Guardians of Galaxy next. That is our next team of 4. So fastest 4 teams, remember, qualify for the finals. So leading are the Justice League with 56.544. Second are the X-Men with 58.362. And third at the moment are the Incredibles with 58.393.
See, with this one, it's great to see Rebecca and Newark in there. So it's mixed with mixed classifications, but it's also mixed sexes. So it's great to see a female there in this one. So we'll see how Rebecca goes. She's going in this P1 position, which is great to see.
And the mixed relays and the mixed sort of sprints, I mean, if you go through triathlon and cyclocross had an incredible mixed relay at the World Cyclocross Championships this year. You know, the triathlon one I absolutely love. It's one of my favourite. Everyone's running and diving in the lake and just high five. But the cyclocross, we do it on the road as well now as well. Archie Atkinson, Finn Graham and Rebecca Newark is the team.
Yeah, this one's going to be interesting to see because Archie and Finley are more endurance athletes. That's a good start there from Rebecca, a real strong start from her.
So Rebecca gets the team out of the blocks. Finn Graham will be second rider. Archie Atkinson will be the rider that finishes things off here. And Rebecca, just a good, really, really strong start here from Rebecca.
Very solid start from her. That's a great ride from her. We'll now see Finn come through, riding in that P2 position. Finn's got a decent kilo on him. He's a been kilo world champion, so yeah, we'll see him come through.
Just over 3 seconds up as we get the bell this time, and it's Archie Atkinson that's going to finish this off just over 3 3/4 seconds up at the moment for the team of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And they come up to their start position, stop the clock, 52.921.
That's a great ride from them. It's a really great ride to set them up from Rebecca. And then the boys really accelerated in those last 2 laps.
So just a really, really solid ride from that team. 51.019 kilometers an hour is the average speed. So we have 1 team to go. The Guardians of the Galaxy, Archie Atkinson, Finn Graham and Rebecca Newark go to the top of the leaderboard with that time. At the moment, the only team with 1 team to go, only the Avengers can prevent will be the team that could potentially knock the Incredibles out of the competition. And the Avengers up onto the track. We need to go down in a bit and find out which Avenger each rider feels that they are.
I feel like I'm going to go quiz the teams on who's who.
We'll get that for the final later on. I think we're going to have to go and do that. And you can probably tell now how much of a massive comic book fan I am, because we're going to have to do that. Each rider is going to have their, have their alter ego.
You're sat here in a Scooby-Doo shirt, so I can see that you love a good comic and cartoon. But I'm intrigued as to what they will call themselves and who will call themselves what. Be interesting. We've got Matthew Robertson, Blaine Hunt and Jodie Cundy going in this one. Matthew Robertson He's been riding really well, actually. He came back from a pretty bad injury, breaking his leg in a few places last year. We've got Jody Cundy, he's obviously world champion in the C4 kilo. And Blaine Hunt's been world champion in the sprint.
Away we go. Matthew Robertson leads the team away. Blaine Hunt will be second rider, and Jody Cundy will anchor the team. So Matthew Robertson, great start here from Matthew Robertson.
Yeah, really good start. Pretty much in this similar time to the opening lap.
So swings off Matthew Robertson, we go through, and they're just marginally outside at the end of the first lap by 0.119 into the back straight, and they go fractionally up now. Blaine Hunt taking over, and they're going to be anchored now, Kadina, by Jody Cundy.
You can never go wrong when you've got Jody at the end. In 2021, we saw that great ride where half a lap to go, we were still down, and Jody managed to pull it back, and he's just increasing this lead here, so they're nearly a second up. And they finished with a 51.626, so they're 1.295 ahead of the Avengers, the Guardian of the Galaxy, sorry. So that's a great ride from the Avengers. Great to see them come together, because again, they've not rode together before, so that was a great ride in from Jody and Blaine off the back of Matthew Robertson, who I don't think Matthew's rode a team sprint for a very long time, actually, so no. Great to see him out there.
And I was saying in commentary on Friday, actually, I mean, for me, it's kind of as well, kind of watching Matthew Robertson come in as a really sort of, through national championship.
Yeah.
Kind of, I think he was probably like 16 maybe when I first commentated on him, but just seeing that sort of growth and development of a rider, and as you say, coming back from quite a big injury.
Yeah, no, it was great. I remember Manny from when I very first started, so way back in 2015 now, seeing this like young kid, and then him and Finn came onto the program around the same time, actually, and just seeing the difference of them being on the program and how they kind of just improved and accelerated to be the athletes that they are now. Both, going on to get medals like on the Grand Prix circuits, and obviously Finn is a world champion. So yeah, it was great to see. Little Manny turning into. I always still think of him as Little Manny, but he's pretty old now. Well, I say pretty old, not as old as me, but he's definitely is he 21 now? I think he said last time I checked. Yeah. Makes me feel very old, but I think we've got the women's points race up next.
Yeah, qualifying of the women's points race. This is Heat 2, so 40 laps of the track, 10 kilometers with 4 sprints, and we've got a great field in this one, and we'll see who is going to go through and join the riders from Heat 1 in the final. Look to come a little bit later on. We'll run you through who is where as the riders will roll round to the start. Jenny Hole, already a national champion in these championships. Jenny Hole, who is also on as a pilot in the paracycling program with Sophie Onwin, and she took the scratch title in emphatic fashion. She's riding for Loughborough Lightning. From Team Torelli, we have Lucy Nelson. From Live CC Halo Films, we have Karis Blowers. From Jaden Vive Le Velo Glaston is Laura Davis. From Lee Valley Youth CC is Rebecca Gardiner. We will see from Tofoti, Everyone Active, Abigail Miller. From the Alba Development Road team is Victoria Smith. And from Tactic UK Women's Racing team is Hannah Williams. At the fence, so there's Jenny Hole in the purple from Loughborough Lightning. On the fence in the green and grey colours of Live Plus Wahoo, another rider that's already a champion in these championships is Kate Richardson. From Shibden Apex, Arabella Blackburn. From Das Hansling, Robin Clay. From Solas is Kayla Dinnan. From Das Hansling, Charlotte Hodgkins-Byrne. From Shibden Apex Racing team is Evie Smith. And our final rider at the fence from Tofoti, Everyone Active in the green, wearing 70, is Ella Tandy. And just like Heat 1, the last 4 riders, so the riders that finish in the 4th, last places are the riders that don't go through to the final. So Hannah Williams on the back there from the Tactic UK team.
Be interesting to see how this one's rode after the first ride, see if anyone does similar to what Frankie Hall did and takes a lap, just gets himself comfortably through. We see Jenny Hall on the front here. She's obviously got a lot of confidence after that scratch race win. It's great to see she's got a big weekend here, riding her solo and also riding on the tandem. So she's had a very packed weekend, but she's been away quite a bit, doing a lot of stuff on the road. So she's got a big fitness base, which will get her through.
Yeah, she was saying in the interview she did with Charlene Jones that she's changed how she trains and she's gone back to doing big road miles because she feels that it works for her in what she's having to do, rather whereas Sophie does a lot of gym work. Yeah,
I think it's one of those, like I said before, like some stuff is really individual. Like, you know, what works for one athlete may not work for another athlete. And it's interesting on the tandems. Like, people think, oh, you know, they're riding together, they have to do the same stuff all the time. But if your physiology is different, there's no point in you doing exactly the same thing because it's not going to make the bike quicker. So, yeah, I see Sophie in the gym quite a bit. But I don't remember the last time I saw Jenny in the gym.
The gyms here at the Manchester Velodrome are quite famous, aren't they, in terms of...
Yeah, it's quite famous. We also still have a box that belongs to Sir Chris Hoy, which he used to use when he was here. And it's still, yeah, it's got prime position in the gym, and everyone kind of like, it gets used to stand on, but it's never removed from the gym. It's followed us everywhere.
So we're looking for our first sprint. So 10 kilometers with 4 sprints, 5, 3, 2, and 1 points on offer on each sprint, double points on the final lap. And if you gain a lap, you gain 20 points. If you lose a lap, you lose 20 points as well. So Robin Clay from Das Hansling in there. So that's another British pro team. Jenny Hall, never far away from the front. This is quite a tell. You see there, the Loughborough Lightning rider.
Yeah.
Doesn't drop all the way to the back. Keeps up there. We know the sort of experience as a bunch racer as well. She's been national Madison champion as well.
Yeah, no, Jenny is a real talent. She's able to, you know, ride these bunch races so well and still has the tactical, you know, abilities, and yeah, really has a good like racing head on her. So as much as she, you know, rides a tandem and is great on the tandem, she's still able to come back into the national championships and be able to ride these races and ride them really well.
Laura Davis of Jaden Vive La Velo on the attack here. Lurking comes around this time with 2 laps of the first sprint. So bold move here. Robin Clay on the front for Das Hansling, the Jaden Vive La Velo rider. Has got a good gap here. We'll see him getting into sprint lap. And if you make this sort of move, you've got to make sure that you get the points. You don't want to waste any energy at all.
Yeah, so hopefully Laura Davies can hold on to this, stay committed to it, and, you know, claim those first 5 points. She don't want to get sucked in right now where all these girls are chasing.
And they're just coming up to her, and they come over the top, and from Torelli, and Lucy Nelson comes through there, and that's the risk versus reward when you go on the attack. Just a fraction too early in a points race.
Yeah, she wasn't able to hold on to that. She was looking around, obviously worried that the girl's going to come through. So she should have really kept focused on trying to get through that line, because I'm not sure whether she got any points from that one, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, we'll get confirmation of your results. So Lucy Nelson takes it from Karis Blowers, Kate Richardson and Abigail Miller. So unfortunately, she didn't manage to score points. So we'll get, that's your points tally after sprint 1 of 4. So Lucy Nelson takes 5, Karis Blowers takes 3, Kate Richardson the 2, and Abigail Miller taking that 1 point. The bunch back together. We just see Hannah Williams just riding on to the back, and we're now seeing the colours of Solas with Kate Dinnan through towards the front. Karis Blowers from Live CC Halo Films, that purple and white colours. Jenny Hall moving up on the inside there. Evie Smith from Shibden Apex Racing Team moves through. We've got 6 laps to the next sprint. There's confirmation on your screen. Lucy Nelson takes the 5, Karis Blowers 3, Kate Richardson 2, and Abigail Miller takes that 1 point. So there is that calculation, that payoff in your mind. Do you go out? Do you go long in a sprint?
Yeah, we've got 3 trying to break away here. Is it?
Robin Clay on the attack. And perhaps taking a leaf out of the Frankie Hall book from
Charlotte has just gone off the front. Charlotte's really trying to push on and hopefully take a lap here. But the bunch are not really wanting to sit up and let her do this, so we'll see if Jenny Hall, she's coming through now on the front, see if she tries to close that gap.
So Charlotte Hodgkinsburn on the attack here for Das Hansling.
Jenny's just gotten out of the saddle there, so she looks like she doesn't want to let this gap go, so she might go with her. The bunch haven't gone with either of them at this point.
And there's quite a bit of focus in the bunch on Kate Richardson as well. They'll know what she can do. Jenny Hall now pedals across the gap. You'll see her come into your picture now, getting up to Charlotte Hodgkinsburn here. So 2 leaders, 2 laps to go into the next sprint. Charlotte Hodgkinsburn has to try and get on to Jenny Hall here. Looks back over the shoulder, maybe the fatigue starting to show. Yeah. Jenny Hall, that experience, just glances across the track, seeing what gap she's got. The pressure has gone completely out of the bunch, and one lap to go to the next sprint, and Jenny Hall has got half a lap.
Yeah. These girls in the bunch are battling here for minimum points. As these 2 are out in the front, they're going to claim the 5 and the 3 points. Jenny just looks across there, still got that half a lap, but we'll see if she keeps the pressure on and tries to get to the back of that bunch. She seems to have slowed up.
So Jenny Hall takes the maximum points. Charlotte Hodgkinsburn takes the 3. So it's all about getting those points on the board. We've got 4 sprints in total. So at the moment, if you can score some points, you're almost pretty much assured of qualification if you can pick up some points in this one. Jenny Hall deciding to just save the power for a little bit later on. She takes the maximum 5 points. Kate Richardson took the sprint from the bunch behind. There's Kate Richardson in those green and grey colours of Life Plus Wahoo. Busy start to the season for Kate Richardson. Started off with the Tour Down Under down in Australia in beginning of January. 17 laps to go, 2 sprints to come, 1 with 10 to go, 1 on the line, double points on that final sprint, and then you've got 20 points if you can. No one seems keen to gain a lap here at the moment.
No, I thought Jenny was going to keep pressing on, but yeah, she decided to swing up. No one, it's quite relaxed. They're just kind of going for the sprints, just riding around in between. No one's really, putting the pressure on in this one. I guess maybe they thought, if we can just get a few points here or there, then they're kind of, hopefully we'll get through rather than killing their legs in this heat and not having the energy to go for it in the final.
So we're just seeing there just some of there's standings down into 8. So remember, it's the last 4 riders that don't qualify for the final. Kate Richardson on the front looking around. Jenny Hall in the purple of Loughborough Lightning, just not going too far away from the front. That's a Foti colours just dropping down. Our Das Hansling riders now going on the attack. Is this Robin Clay this time that's going on the attack?
This might be Charlotte Hodgkinsburn. She's attacking again.
It's those pink handlebars that give it away when it comes into shot. So Charlotte Hodgkinsburn and so teammate Robin Clay moving up. So the team So Robin Clay comes through, Jenny Hall right up to the front, Ella Tandy from Tafoti, everyone active. We are going to get the sprint with 10 laps to go. So Robin Clay just dictating the pace on the front here for Das. It's almost a good thing here. You just sort of almost, if you're leading out, no one comes. You don't get that rush over the top. Almost just ease back a little bit and then accelerate through that that final lap into the sprint here.
Ella Tandy on the front there.
Ella Tandy leading out. Rebecca Gardiner is there. Kate Richardson up towards the front. Arabella Blackburn trying to get some points on the board.
Abigail Miller in there as well. So the teammates all trying to get in there on the points. Let's see.
So some good points scored there from the Tafoti Everyone Active team.
Yeah.
Riding as a bit of a block here in this one. It's nice to see the way the Tafoti team are riding. Robin Clay on the front, looks around. And moving up, Laura Davies, who had that early attack. Did manage to take the point. 8 laps to go this time. 2 kilometers is a good moment now as Davies drops down the track for Jaden Vive-Lavello. So with 8 laps to go, it's a good opportunity to try and sneak off the front if you can. So Davies just building a good gap here. She'll just want that bunch, the pressure to go out completely, which it has, and looks back over the shoulder. It's a good moment now for Laura Davies.
Yeah, let's see how she does with this attack. This is a better attack than the one that she had earlier on in the race. She's already got a quarter of a lap, so she keeps the pressure on here, then hopefully she can get to the back of that bunch and claim 20 points, or even just claim the double points as 6 laps left to go.
Victoria Smith is chasing down. There's confirmation last sprint. So Rebecca Gardner, Ella Tandy, Kate Richardson and Arabella Blackburn taking the 1 point. We have got Laura Davies from Jaden Vive-Lavello off the front. Victoria Smith of the Alba development team is in the gap. 5 laps to go this time when they come round to the line. So riders that haven't got points on the board, looking to try and score. Pressure out of the bunch. This plays into the hands of our 2 leaders. 1 kilometer to go. 4 laps of this track now. Laura Davies, you've kind of got to go all in now here, Kadina, with 4 laps to go to make sure that we don't get that position that she was in on that early sprint where she got rushed and didn't get some points.
The bunch, they move quicker together, so she's got to keep the pressure on here now. She hasn't got enough of a gap, and there's still quite a bit of time left. We've got 3 laps left, so they could close in on her. So she just needs to make sure she keeps the pressure on until she gets kind of within that kind of last lap 2. The bunch is sitting up here now. Actually, they're not really putting any pressure on. So yeah, hopefully she's closing in on them now. So we'd like to believe that these 2 will be okay. They will claim the top 2 points, and we'll see what happens in this bunch for this last sprint.
2 laps to go. Laura Davies has got the back of the bunch in her sight at the end of the straight, but she will get 1 lap to go this time. Victoria Smith of the Alba development team behind her. 1 lap to go, so it looks like it's going to be 10 points for Laura Davies. A nicely timed move here by Laura Davies. Victoria Smith from Alba development, so leading that sprint behind from the bunch. We've got Charlotte Hodgkins-Byrne.
Yeah.
So Laura Davies takes maximum points. Victoria Smith takes 6. And then coming through for the sprint, we've got Lucy Nelson of Torelli. Came in to take the points. So we'll get confirmation of our sprint. So the last 4 riders, remember, not qualifying for the final. That is our women's sprint points race. Just a different rhythm to that one.
It's very, very low tempo in that one, and really just attacking the sprints, and yeah, not really pushing in between. It was interesting to see that last attack there with I'm not sure who did that last attack now, but just trying to get off the front of the bunch there. And it timed it really well, actually, because the bunch just didn't seem to want to press on and try close any gaps. So, yeah, managed to get herself through there with a little bit of hard work.
Yeah, so they're just calculating our points for us. One more set of races to go in the Keirin competition. We will have our next opportunity to come back into the qualification. So Laura Davies taking the sprint from Victoria Smith. So Laura Davies goes to the top of the leaderboard with that 10 points, just ahead of Lucy Nelson and Victoria Smith. So a good move to take the 10 points in that one, but it does set us up nicely for our points race finals, which comes in this afternoon's program. And we're going to move back to sprinting, which is our, we have 2 repechages to come in our Keirin competition. The first 3 riders, let's take our confirmation of our result from the women's points. Laura Davis, Lucy Nelson, Victoria Smith, Kate Richardson, Abigail Miller, Jelly Hall, Rebecca Gardiner, our top 7. Average speed there for the points race, 45.113 kilometers an hour. We'll move that on. We'll see if we get the confirmation of our 4 riders that didn't qualify.
Can hear the Derny warming up, ready for this women's Keirin repechage. There we go.
Next up, there is your first repechage. So we have Yolanda Adesida, we have Rebecca Howard, Kirsty Johnson, Madeleine Silcock, and Christina Smith. They are our first riders up onto the track. And the first 3 riders in each heat qualify to the semi-finals. That is how the repechage works. And there's a different kind of pressure in a repechage as well, especially if you felt that you had what it took to go through in that first round.
Yeah, it's, you know, this is your last shot at it now, and, you know, you made your life a little bit harder, you know, not going through in that first one. So there is that pressure to, you know, just step up and be able to take it through, but also not, like, you know, put in too much energy, because, again, you want to, you know, go through into that semi-final with good legs still.
Away we go as we roll onto the back of the bike.
So I'll just slot into their positions that they've drawn earlier.
So just to give you an idea, you've got your 2 riders in the Glasgow Track Racing Club colours. So Christina Smith is second wheel with the white helmet, and Madeleine Silcock is the 3rd rider with the black helmet. Then Yolanda Adesida, second from the back, and then at the back. So my apologies, sorry, I get my 2 riders
Rebecca
mixed up
Howard's
there.
in there somewhere.
Rebecca Howard, sorry.
Rebecca Howard's in 3, I think.
So she's got the black helmet there. Sorry, I reading my numbers wrong as they went away. And Madeleine Silcock on the back in the black skin suit. But yes, sat there. Rebecca Howard wearing number 37. The 2 riders from Glasgow. You've got the yellow flashes on the disc wheel. 3 laps to go this time. So Kirsty Johnson now on the front.
Yeah, kept the pressure on straight away. Taking it long.
So Madeleine Silcock trying to move up here. So our Edinburgh Road Club rider in the red colours on the front.
Christina Smith coming from the back and really wanting to get involved.
So they will get the bell this time. Really just trying to boss this one. Kirsty Johnson on the front, looking back over the shoulder, out of the saddle now. Bit of an injection of pace. Christina Smith in there.
Got the 2 Glasgow riders there, right in it.
So Madeleine Silcock moves up. Good move there, making sure that she doesn't get boxed in that one.
Rebecca Howard just coming through there on the inside to take that 3rd spot.
So So Kirsty Johnson goes through with Madeleine Silcock. Was impressed at Madeleine Silcock's move there, coming through the inside, making sure she didn't get boxed in.
Yeah. Got to be really aware of your surroundings and kind of like your space around you when you're riding these races, because it's so easy to just you know, clip someone's wheel or get boxed in and not have the space that you need.
We look back through that one as well though. Kirsty Johnson in the red, she had the front position on the Derny, really dictated that whole repechage there.
Yeah, she just kept the pressure on as soon as the Derny pulled out, and really just controlled that race from the front. She didn't really look around too much. You know, a lot of them, like, they'll slow down when the Derny pulls out and look around, see what people are going to do. But she just kept the pressure on, and that meant she was in control of that whole race.
Yeah, sets things up. So Madeleine Silcock and Kirsty Johnston go through to the semi-finals. We will have one more repechage, and that will be our final race of this morning's programme. Hope you've enjoyed our live stream coverage here at the British Cycling Track National Championships from the ancestral home of British cycling, the Medal Factory, we call it here in Manchester. It's good to be home after a few years away.
It is indeed.
Next up on the track, our next heat, we have Anna Burrell wearing number 3. You've got Elizabeth Broughton. Anna Burrell is a private member, British Cycling. Got Elizabeth Broughton from the University of Nottingham. She's wearing number 8 there in the green and yellow colours. You've got Emily Burgess of SES Racing wearing number 9. That's that sort of black and grey kit. She's 3rd up the track. Wearing 49, Sylvia Mistel from the Glasgow Track Racing Club, and Anna Burrell, you can see there wearing number 3. Anna Whitworth-Hay, also of SES Racing, in those green and red colours. She is at the top of the track. So Anna Burrell, she has the black helmet. Her teammate Sylvia Mistel has the white helmet. Goes into second wheel. So two sets of teammates in this one. So wearing number 9, Emily Burgess. She is 3rd in line, and Anna Whitworth-Hay is the rider on the back. So 5 laps to go this time, and it is Elizabeth Broughton of the University of Nottingham. And a lot of the uni teams always really perform well in these national championships, because we have the national student champs as well.
Yeah. So yeah, you have the British University champs, which is a great competition to be involved in. But then you see a few of them come over and, you know, compete at these national championships and do really well. And it's just a great opportunity for them to get another race under the belt and, you know, push themselves against some of the best in the country, which is great to see.
Broughton on the back of the bike. They'll see 3 laps to go this time. Just swings up the track. So Elizabeth Broughton doesn't want that front position.
Doesn't want to take it on, yeah. Very different to the first race.
Anna Whitworth-Hay on the back. Riders just looking back. Sylvia Mistel now has got the front position. Anna trying to come over the top. 2 laps to go this time. And it's the 2 SES Racing riders come through.
I know Whitworth is high there on the track, wanting to come round.
You can see Emily Burgess just making sure that she didn't get blocked, didn't get rushed.
Yeah. You see Emily Burgess and Anna really wanting to come round here now, working hard.
So Sylvia Mistel is on the front, just powering down that back straight. Anna Burrell 3rd wheel here, but Sylvia Mistel holding the front.
Yeah, doing really well to hold on there and just not let anyone pass, dictate that race.
So it comes through to take that one, so she progresses in the competition as well. So it's our top 3, remember, that go through. We'll bring you some confirmation. We'll have a little replay of that. And Elizabeth Broughton there just, we saw it when it swung off, didn't want to take the front, but really, you know, really sensible riding, you would say there, from Sylvia Mistel and Emily Burgess.
Yeah, Sylvia just dictated it from the front. When we had Elizabeth Broughton swing up. She just sat there on the front and just controlled it. Was happy to take it on.
Anna Burrell also qualifying, so top 3 going through to those semi-finals. And that is it from this morning's session. Thank you to Kadina Cox. Have you enjoyed a little morning of commentary?
Yeah, no, it's been fun. I enjoy talking. So it's not so bad when you're talking about something you love.
Yeah, likewise. That's the whole thing I got told at school. I talk too much and managed to make a living out of doing it. That is it from this morning's session. Racing starts again at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Thanks for your company. Make sure you tune in for live coverage of the final session of the British Cycling Track National Championships from here in Manchester. From me, Martin McDonald, and Kadina Cox alongside me. We'll see you in a little while. Bye for now.
Ciao, ciao.
I am Sajjad and I am limitless. I love cycling because it gives me the platform to compete against my peers at the same level and give me the chance to explore places I wouldn't normally go to. If you haven't picked up your bike in a long time, go up and pick it up. The euphoria and the great feeling that you'll get and the freedom you'll feel is just one of a kind. Introducing Limitless, the British Cycling, Disability and Paracycling program. More clubs, more facilities, more opportunities for disabled riders.
Most of us have been brought up with the idea that we live in a society that's got to protect us when things go wrong. And it's a real hard landing when people realise that they're not going to get the kind of support that they had always assumed was there for them. Lee Day was always set up to take on David and Goliath kind of battles, and we're all really keen to provide as much help as we can to those who need it.